Do you think LinkedIn is just a networking platform? No, it is not. Hello, my name is Sumesh Shukla, and in this particular video, I'll help you to understand how you can leverage the power of LinkedIn to get your next job. But before we start this video, don't forget to check out Scalar's free masterclass on Scalar's event page by leading industry experts. The link is in the description box. In this particular video, we'll be going to talk about how to optimize the LinkedIn profile, how you can get better reach, and how you can leverage the power of LinkedIn to get your next job. But before we start this video, please subscribe to our Scalers YouTube channel. Stop using LinkedIn if you don't know how to use it properly. In this particular video, we will first of all learn how to optimize your LinkedIn profile. And then we will also be looking at some tips and tricks about how you can leverage your social profile to get your first job. Now let me tell you one secret. Today I use LinkedIn to generate a revenue of 2.5 crores yearly. This is all because I have properly optimized my LinkedIn profile and I know how to use it to reach out to the correct client and to reach out to the correct person. So connections and relationships is all what we are going to talk about in this particular video. Now before we start this video, let me tell you a very short story. In 2015, I interacted with the word data science for the very first time. Now at that particular time, nobody knew what is data science and they were not aware about the thing that data science is going to be the next big thing. And today you can see that everyone is trying to learn data science. So at that particular time, I was able to learn the right skill at the right time. And I always tell this thing to everyone: obtain or acquire the right skill at the right time. But what is the next big thing? So today you see everyone wanted to be in the data science role. But what is the next big thing? What is going to create history or the boom down the line 5 years? It is basically content creation. So when I say content creation, you do not have to create Instagram reels and dance on it. So what kind of content? Let's break down this into three important steps: create, engage, and grow. Now let's try to understand each of the terms. When I say create, that basically means we have to start creating content. Now, I am a person who likes to write about technology. I'm a person who loves technology. So every person loves something. Let's say you wanted to be a data scientist or maybe a professional who uses technology. So you'll be learning a lot of things, right? What you have to do, whatsoever you are learning, try to post it over LinkedIn or try to post it over any platform which you like. It can be LinkedIn, it can be Twitter, it can be Instagram, it can be any social media platform, because it will eventually make you a content creator. Now, please understand one thing. You do not have to worry about if somebody is reading your post or not, because it takes time. So when you start posting something on LinkedIn, and here we will try to keep the example around LinkedIn only. So when you start creating content over LinkedIn, it will take time. And don't worry about whether you are writing something which is entertained by someone or not, because it will take time. And every content has a content reader, has a particular person who will admire your content. So let's say if I'm learning about linear regression today, there will be a lot of people like you who might not be aware about linear regression. So if you write something around it, let's say you have mentioned about what is the difference between linear regression and logistic regression. If you write this short content and post it over LinkedIn, you will find out readers, because every content has a reader. So stop thinking and start doing. You have to start creating content, and that's the very first stage. Create. You have to fix the frequency also. So let's say if you have decided that you have to create content and post it every day, then fix that, follow that. It will take time. You might find out that people are not responding. You might find out that there is not a good reach. but you have to be consistent. It will take time, but you have to create. Once you are done the first step, you have started creating, then start engaging people. Now, how to engage? For example, let's say somebody has commented on my post that, hey, very good, it's a nice share, and I was not aware about it. Now, there are two ways in which you can respond this. You can say thank you. Now, when you say thank you, you are not making that person involve into communication, or you are not engaging with that person. So how to create engagement? You have to start questioning that person. So you might do something like this. You might post something like this. You might say that, okay, thanks for your nice word, thanks for your comment, but what are your thoughts on this? Do you think that this particular post cleared your doubt? Or maybe if this particular post fulfilled your requirement? So you can cross question so that the person can reply back and it can start creating engagement. Each time the person will comment something on your post, it will enhance your engagement, and more people will start reaching out or maybe start landing into your post. That's very important. There is one more way in which you can engage. Now, just posting regularly will not help you to grow. You have to also engage with the post that is done by people to whom you admire. So let's say you admire me as a professional. Now let's say I have posted about something. I have posted about how I am successful. So now when you are commenting on my post, people will also look or maybe read through your comment. So please remember one thing, you do not have to comment nice share, wow, commenting for better reach, it's great share. Don't try to limit yourself with one word. Try to be creative, because if I'm going through the comments that are done on my post, I will try to read the comment which is creative. And if I like your comment, I might reach out to you. I might reach out to you on your personal message. And then that's how relationship or that's how connection start building up. So try to be creative, try to be elaborative, try to post some things which attract people. So these are the two things which you should follow to engage. So we have done creation, we have done engagement, now we have to grow. What is the meaning of growing? So let's say you have created an audience base. So now you know that these are the people which admire your content. So what you have to do now, you have to expand, you have to grow. And how you can grow? Create Instagram page if you haven't done, create Twitter if you haven't done, go to Facebook, go to YouTube and expand your horizon so that you become a solid content creator. Now, if you are a technology expert or if you do not have so much time and if you feel like, okay, this is not what you wanted to do. So my dear friend, let me tell you one very important thing. In this today's job market, there is a lot of chaos in finding out the next job. You can see there are a lot of layoffs that are happening. Now, if you own your social presence, if you have your social profile, then it will be very easy for the recruiter to find you. Because in Hindi we say, jo dikhta hai wo bikta hai. So if you do not make yourself visible, then nobody will be able to reach out to you. You might be very good in coding. You might be very good in data science. You might know about algorithms. But it is useless until and unless somebody knew about it. If I know that, okay, this person is very good at coding because he keeps on posting regularly, in my mind, your name will always be there. So if I have any requirement, I might reach out to you, and that would be my very first step. Now let's understand how to optimize your LinkedIn profile so that you can get a better reach and more people can recognize you. Now let me tell you one example first of all. If I go to any browser, or let's use Google, and if I try to Google Sumit Shukla data scientist. Now you can see in the results section that the very first thing that you find out is my LinkedIn profile, which says Sumit Shukla professional freelancer, followed by my videos, uh, my YouTube channel, my Instagram, my complete story, my GitHub profile, my other written blogs, my podcast, and the internships that I have posted. Now you can see that when I Google my name or my name with my designation data scientist, I get everything on the landing page. Now, how this thing is possible? This thing is possible when you are consistent. So let's say if I have created my LinkedIn profile, I have used some keywords. And for me, the keywords are Sumit Shukla Data Scientist. And I try to use the same keywords every time I create a new profile. So on my Instagram also, the description says Sumit Shukla Data Scientist. In my Twitter account, it says Sumit Shukla Data Scientist. If I talk about YouTube, I have used tags which says Sumit Shukla Data Scientist. So everywhere I have been consistent. No matter if it is my LinkedIn profile or if it is my Instagram or if it is any other platform. If you want everything to be visible when somebody Googles your name, you should opt for one keyword or maybe certain number of keywords which you have to use every time you are creating your profile on any social media platform. Now let's go to my profile. That's the very first link. And the very first thing that you can see on my profile is my display picture or my profile picture. Now this is very much important. People don't focus on this thing, but the very first impression that somebody will have about you will be because of your display picture, because of your profile picture. So please make sure that your profile picture is very much clear. You should have a soft smile on your face and the picture should be till your shoulders. And now you can see on my profile picture, I am having a very soft smile. The picture is up to my shoulders and you can see that there is a clean background. So I have not used a selfie. I have not used a profile picture with posing something. It is very professional, nice, clean, and a very soft smile. That's very important. The second thing that a person will be looking at is your thumbnail or maybe the background image. Now here in the background image, you can see that I have used keywords which describes my work. I do coding, I do interview podcast. I am a data science professional which uses machine learning. So I have used certain keywords. Here you can see I have written my designation which is SME, Python and machine learning. Since I am a traveler, people call me a traveling data scientist. So here I have used a particular sentence which describes what I love to do. A traveler in search of stories that inspire. Then I have mentioned about my social media platforms like YouTube and Instagram with the handle name @session with Sumit. Here you can find out my image where I'm trying to speak in the stage of Josh Talk. So you can see that if somebody is coming to my profile or if somebody is trying to explore what I do, the person will be able to understand everything looking into my thumbnail or maybe the background picture. And then I have created my first impression because first impression is very important. It makes the person understand that you have a very genuine profile and the profile is sounding very nice. Now when the person is satisfied with your first impression, then the first person will start reading out next details. So the next details are, number one thing is your tagline or maybe your title. My title says subject expert Python and machine learning mentor. Now here I have not described that I am a LinkedIn influencer which is having 1000 or 1 million impressions. I have not described anything which is irrelevant. I have just mentioned what exactly I do because that is how people are going to search you. Please make sure when you are trying to mention your title, it should use those keywords which you do. For example, I use machine learning, I use data science, I am a subject expert. So I use these keywords. So if someone has a requirement of subject expert in machine learning and data science, and if the person is trying to search over LinkedIn, subject expert, data science or Python, then my profile will appear at the very first spot. Because you know that search algorithms works on keywords and keywords are really important. So when you are selecting your title should describe your skill. So if you are a Python expert, if you are a Python developer, use Python developer. If you are an AI expert, use AI expert. If you are let's say front end developer, use front end developer. That's very important. The next thing is now LinkedIn gives you options to add hashtags. Again, I have used hashtags that describes me: data, Python, data science, machine learning. Not many, but those which are very important. If you click on this pencil icon, you will be able to change or maybe edit everything. So Sumit Shukla, uh, then how to pronounce it. I have not used it, but I have selected a audio recording, and you can see over here, if I press on this play button, it will basically try to tell or maybe try to play the sound in which I speak my name. So it is not so important, but it's actually good thing to make sure that you have filled your LinkedIn profile with all the options and facilities you have. Then this is the additional option which you can create, and this is really important and useful. Now when I click on this particular link, you can see that it will redirect me to a bunch of links using which a particular person can understand about my profile. So my YouTube channel, if the person wants to book a call with me, I have a link on TopMate. My Instagram, my Josh Talk, my written blogs, my sample live sessions. So if the person wants me to explain like how I teach, I have provided a link. The person can go to this link and understand how I teach. My complete story and the stories that were posted about me on Instagram. So how you can create this? There's a particular website known as Linktree, linktr.ee, and here you can go and create your Linktree, for which you can post that link over here. So over here there is an option to add a link. Now you can only add one link, but this particular link will help you to, or will help the person to navigate through all the links which are really important that describes your profile. So here you can add your links like GitHub link, or if you have done some projects, add those links over here. Now the next thing, so let me just cross this down. The next thing is about what you are open to. So here you can see that I have added a section which says I am open to work for a data analyst, data scientist, Python developer, technical trainer, corporate trainer, and location is Mumbai, Delhi, NCR, and I am open to full-time jobs also. Now this is only visible to recruiters, but this is a good thing, because if you have activated this, then any recruiter who is trying to look for a person who is a technical trainer, then your profile will be visible to that person. If you haven't activated this, then your profile will not be visible to that person. So that's the very important thing. If you are looking for a job change, you should fill up this detail and you should activate this. Now the next thing that is really important is your featured section. Now this is something which people don't try to fill, or maybe I have seen people not selecting great things over here. But if you look into my featured section, you will find out that I have selected all the amazing posts that got a very great response, and it actually helped the person to understand what kind of content I create or what is my expertise. So here is one post regarding my Josh Talk video. Here is one video regarding my first YouTube channel. or maybe the first video on my YouTube channel. Here is the kind of content that I create. It is a very funny content, but very informative. And then we have I have added a link to my various blogs. Then if you scroll down, you will find out that I post on a regular interval. So this was posted 4 day, 3 day, and this is posted today itself. And then if I scroll down, you can see my about section. Now the about section is very important for the person who is trying to understand your profile. If you try to read and if you try to go through my profile or maybe my about section, you can see that it talks about exactly what I do. So with over 5 years of experience in top e-firms, I'm right now working as an educator, and I have mentioned the name of all the universities, all the companies, and all the technology companies with which I'm working right now. And then I have mentioned about my achievements. And then I have mentioned about additional details. Now, please remember one thing. People try to use paragraphs over here, but here I have used bullet points. Now, by default, LinkedIn does not provide you to format your text. So what you can do, you can search for LinkedIn emojis, and you can use any particular link that will be visible to you. And then from here, you can copy paste. So let's say I have copy pasted this. I'll copy it. I'll go to my about section, and then I can simply place it over here. So it will be nicely formatted and people will find it very structured, because structure is very important when the person is trying to go through your profile. If you have written a paragraph, the person might not be interested to read the whole paragraph, but if you have written points, it will be very clearly visible to the person of what you are trying to talk about. So let me just close this. Now it comes to your experience, the section which is experience. I have seen people not describing their experience. This is the section where you should talk about your experience and you should explain the projects that you have done. So let's say you are working on a project which involves machine learning using textual data. Now here in the about section, or maybe in the description of your experience, you should explain that project. And when you are explaining your project, try to follow a structure. First of all, talk about the problem statement. Then what was your approach? Then what was the result? And how that particular result helped you or maybe your company to improve or to gain something. So that's the next thing which you should add in the experience section. I have added all the experience. Then my education. Again, in education section, you should add about the extracurricular activities that you have done. If you have acquired any certificate, mention about that. Then I have added all the skills. Again, choose the skills which basically reflects you. So let's say if I am a data scientist, I have selected all the skills that are relevant to my profile. Now the last section, which nobody tries to optimize or nobody tries to work on, is your recommendation section. If you observe, you can see that I have a total of 66 recommendations. Now that's a huge number actually. But if you go through all the recommendations, you will find out that I have acquired recommendations from all the well-known personalities. This person is currently working as a financial analyst at a one particular bank, at Wells Fargo, and he was previously working with EY. She is working as a senior data scientist, project management, and you can see that all the people who have written a recommendation for me are the well-known personalities, and they have detailed and they have described my skill or maybe my engagement with them in a very detailed way. And here you can see that I'm having a total of 66 recommendations. If I want to understand whether you are a genuine person or not, or whether what you are talking about in your LinkedIn profile, whether it is genuine or not, the skills that you are trying to highlight on your LinkedIn profile, is it genuine or not? Recommendation section is really important and it plays a amazing role in your LinkedIn profile. Please make sure that you are not asking for recommendations from your friends, from your peers, or from those who are in the same level as you. Try to acquire recommendations from your seniors because that will reflect about how good are you at your job or how good are you at your skill. Here, all the recommendations that you see are from my clients or from my seniors. There is no one in this list who was my junior. Everyone is my senior over here. Now, these are the important pointers which are really important for you to optimize in order to have a very great LinkedIn profile. One important thing that everyone should do is if you go to this edit public profile and URL, you can see that here I've created a URL for myself which says linkedin.com/in/s Sumit Shukla. Now Sumit Shukla was not available, so I used one extra S so that the content or maybe the term Sumit Shukla is still visible or maybe available in my LinkedIn profile. That's what you should do the very first thing. While you are selecting your keywords should also be present in your LinkedIn profile or the link of your LinkedIn profile. Everything else is something which is not so important over here, but this is really important. Now I hope you guys will try to use all the tips that I have given you and try to make sure that you are acquiring more and more recommendations. You are trying to add the relevant skills over here. You are adding all the keywords, and hopefully if you follow all these steps, you'll get a very good LinkedIn profile. A lot of people ask me that they are creating content regularly, but they are not able to get reach, they are not able to get likes, or maybe their content is not getting appreciated. Now let's try to understand what are the steps you should follow so that your content or maybe your reach is always increasing and more people are able to land into your LinkedIn profile. The very first thing is post regularly. Now you should decide at what frequency you are comfortable in posting. So let's say if you can create content for every day, then post regularly. If you can create content once a week, then post once a week. But once you have decided the frequency, stick to that. You should post at the frequency that you have decided so that the LinkedIn algorithm can understand your frequency and can accordingly provide you with the reach. It will take time. You will find out that the first 10 posts or maybe first 15 posts are not getting enough reach. But if you are regular, it will reach. You will get your audience which you are looking for. The next step that you should follow in order to make your reach go higher and higher is to add images and infographic. So let's say if you are posting about machine learning, you can post your image while you are working on laptop. Now this will make people understand that you have written some content around technology or around laptops or maybe around something related to your work, and then you will get good reach. According to the LinkedIn algorithm and the research that I have done, the images and the infographic get a lot of reach. So add images wherever it is possible. The next step is try, experiment and change. So let's say if your two posts or maybe let's say today you have posted something and it became a hit. Then you posted something again on the same line and it reached to more and more people. But eventually you will find out the same post or the post in the same manner will not work. You have to change the kind of post, you have to change your strategy, you have to change the content material. So try experiment with new things and change, because change is a very important thing for the LinkedIn algorithm. If you keep on trying or if you keep on posting same thing again and again, so let's say if you are posting about machine learning every day, then a point will come when people will start ignoring your post. So be creative, change, experiment, and that will make you grow. The next important point is, don't tag people if you know that they are not going to respond you. So I have seen people tagging a lot of people. Let's say if you tag Ratan Tata, or let's say if you tag Ronnie Screwvala. Do you think that these personalities are going to respond you? No. But if I tag my manager, he or she will certainly respond to my post. He or she will add his or her views on my post. You can tag me. I will definitely respond to your post. So tag those people to whom you know that they are going to respond. Because if the person to whom you have tagged in your post responds within 1 hour of the posting, then algorithm will make your post reach to more people. That's like a ranking mechanism. So if in 1 hour the person to whom you have tagged respond, then your post will reach to more and more people. So reach depends on what kind of engagement is happening in the first 1 hour of your posting. So please make sure you tag only those people to whom you know. Keep the post limit between 250 to 300 words. Now please understand one thing, LinkedIn is not a platform where people are here to read stories. They are here to read about new things. They are here to read about new developments. So you need to be creative, you need to be concise. You need to be very much structured with what you are trying to communicate. If you are trying to communicate something, add a story to it, because we humans love to read a story. So let's say if I am talking about machine learning, why not to tell or explain a particular topic with a story, or maybe how you were able to understand it. So be creative, add a story, and limit yourself in limited number of words. Don't post anytime, because there is certain time in which users are active. So you have to first of all understand your audience. Let's say your audience are in India. So you are targeting Indian audience. Now, if we talk about Indian audience and the working professionals, the best time in which they use LinkedIn is between 9:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. followed by 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. This is a time when you will find out people, the most people active over LinkedIn. And this is the best time when you should post. So when you're posting, try to make sure you have scheduled your post. In LinkedIn nowadays, you can schedule your post and try to keep your post in this time bracket. Also, it is very important that you keep on changing this particular schedule. So let's say if you have scheduled 2 posts for today and tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. for today and tomorrow in the morning time, try to make sure that your next post or the third post goes in evening, so that people can understand and the algorithm also can understand that you are not sticking to one schedule. You are changing your schedule. Once you change the schedule, the algorithm will additionally provide you the reach. So this is very important. Reply to each comment, but do not reply immediately. Now it is very important for you to reply to each and every comment that is getting added into your post, because it will add engagement to your post. But if somebody has mentioned a comment, then you have to wait for a certain time before you are replying back to that comment. Let's take one example. Let's say if somebody has posted something about my post and I have replied him or her immediately, then LinkedIn algorithm may understand that you are using some kind of bot, and this is not a good sign. So your post engagement or reach may be degraded, and you may not get that much reach. So that's a very important rule. You have to reply to all comments, but wait for certain time before you are replying back. So you may take a window of 20 minutes, 25 minutes, 30 minutes, and then you can reply back. That will add a lot of engagement to your post. Add emojis to your post. Let's say you are posting something. Now the best way to add your emotions to your post is by adding emojis. So when you add emojis, the person who is reading your post may connect with your emotions. Let's say you are sad about writing a post. So you can add an emoji about which represents sad. If you are excited while you're writing a post, you can add an excited emoji. So when you add emojis, you create engagement with the person who is reading your post. Let's say if I'm reading your post, I can understand your emotions. And if I can understand your emotions, I can connect well with your post. So that is very important. Add at least 3 tags and at most 10 tags. Please understand one thing. Unlike Instagram, LinkedIn algorithm is not influenced by the number of tags or number of hashtags you have added to your post. Now hashtags are important because, as you know, that whenever you wanted to search something, the keywords are really important. So when you're posting something, add relevant tags, but do not populate your post with a lot of tags. So the bracket or the number of tags that works best is between 3 to 10. So at least 3, at most 10 is a very good thing that you can follow. Last but very important, do not post anything that violates LinkedIn guidelines. Now, this has happened with me, and that's the reason I am telling to you guys. I was trying to experiment with the kind of content that I can post on my LinkedIn profile. Now, it was not something which is abusive, it was not something which violates the guideline, but since LinkedIn algorithm works on certain rules and condition, a particular human will not be evaluating your content. It is the algorithm. And the algorithm is executed based on certain keywords, certain taglines, or maybe certain number of criterias. So when you're posting something, please make sure that it is not violating the guidelines. You should not post abusive. You should not post about anything that is pornographic. You should not post about anything related to terrorism. But you should try to maintain professionalism in this platform. So that is really important to follow. So that was it from my side. These were all the tips and tricks that I've been using, and I've been keep experimenting around this. And if you guys really wanted to leverage the power of LinkedIn, please make sure that you follow these steps. Please make sure that you implement these steps into your LinkedIn profile, and it will definitely help you to grow and to grow exponentially.
So, for those of you who don't know me, I'll start with the very short and very small introduction because I want this session to be all about you. But let's just do, okay? Let's just have a quick introduction about those of you who don't know me. So, I am Aman Kumar. Mhm. I'm Aman Kumar. I graduated from IP University, Delhi, from computer science and engineering. So after that, I mean, during my college days, I interned at many companies, including Free Doctor Helpline Private Limited. I interned at Web Coding. I got the opportunity to do internship at Microsoft. Post that, I joined Microsoft full time. Here I joined full time as a software engineer. And in the meantime, oh, one more company where I worked was What After College during my college days after my intern at Microsoft. Now, after working at Microsoft, during my tenure at Microsoft, I was working at a tech called Geekstra. Post that, I joined another ed tech called Web Coding as a co-founder, and followed by Scala. So this is what my journey is so far. Good enough, right? So I think now that that's all about me. Will not talk too much about these parts. This session is all about you. So I'll be discussing all your queries. I mean, see why we are doing this session. The why is very important. So the first thing that I noticed actually is majority of my students, the people that I teach, reach out to me that yeah, I feel that I am getting better, but I'm not sure how will I get the opportunity. I don't know how to apply. Okay, or I am ready but I am from a different background, how will I get my first opportunity? I mean, if you are somewhere someone who is already in the if you are someone who is already in the industry, maybe you can get a job, but how is somebody from outside the industry will get the chance? So we are going to discuss on those facts. Okay. So I think we can start now. So what is the first thing? First, we'll talk about LinkedIn. Now, I come out of a tier three college. Okay, I'm from a tier three college. In my college, I mean, Microsoft didn't don't used to come, so there was no Microsoft, Google, Amazon, but still my batchmates or now my juniors are able to crack jobs in these companies. So how are they able to do that? I mean, how are they getting the opportunities is the first thing. I mean, you might be competent, you know all the things that someone from a good college knows, or somebody who, I mean, all the knowledge you have to crack the interview. Let's say you got it, but how will you apply it? I mean, this is one of the very big query of tier three or tier four colleges, if I say. So first, I'll discuss now that how I got the chance to work at Microsoft, and this is something that I did. Cool. So I'll start with a very easy point. First thing that I mean, when I see a resume, I notice is optimizing your profile URL in LinkedIn. So basically, what happened? If you share your LinkedIn account, this is your LinkedIn profile, right? This is your LinkedIn username. For example, mine is 15898. Now, when you actually make the account, this is something garbage, okay? And you can correct it out. You can Google out how to correct it up. So when I see this directly, I don't know, for some reason it gives me a turn off. Okay, so you have to make sure you just correct it out. I mean, I'm not saying this is very important, but yeah, just for the starters, first thing that you can correct is just optimize your LinkedIn URL. Okay, make sure it's not the default one, whatever it is. So hope this is clear. Now let's move ahead. I'll just mention the things which are quite obvious, but for some reason we don't do that, or we don't feel they're important enough. And these small things actually make the difference. So second thing is you have to use a conventional headline. I mean, your headline, your bio should be pretty interesting. I mean, I all now you can say, Bhaiya, you have web coding, Microsoft, and etc. Scalar. But when by the time I did not had anything, when I was in my college, still it was good enough. I mentioned my college name. I mentioned the technologies maybe I worked upon, or the technologies I'm interested in, the kind of work I have done. So these kind of things you can add to your bio. But this should be interesting enough. I mean, 100 for sure. LinkedIn is going to surpass. I mean, LinkedIn is going to be your digital resume. I mean, it is already, but it will be 100% after like 5 or 10 years. So you have to make sure it's beautiful enough. Why would somebody invest in you? Correct. So that's something you have to take care. Now use an authentic profile picture. For some reason, I don't know why, I see some, I mean, I see very unprofessional profile picture, which I don't know why people use, right? It should always be something professional. Hey, this is not Facebook, Instagram, or right, I mean, let's just say Tinder. Okay, here you don't have to show off or something. You should be looking sincere enough, right? So I think this is clear. Now third thing is skills. You have to specifically mention what skills you have. Okay, I mean, why? Because when recruiters actually search for, not necessarily in formal dress, Avishkar, but it should be decent enough. Okay, it should not be you in a club or bar holding a glass, right? It should look decent enough. Now, coming to skills, you should mention all your skills. I mean, whatever you have worked upon, okay, and ask your friends or whoever you worked with to endorse these things. Because I mean, if I am a recruiter, I have hired on behalf of Pep Coding. I have hired on behalf of Pep Coding when I was working there. So I had a LinkedIn Premium. When I used to find, I mean, look for candidates, I used to have these filters that I want a Java guy or C++ guy. So if they are mentioned in your profile and you are endorsed by good people, 100% you will get recommended. So make sure you have this. Even when I check somebody's profile, I'll look over for his or her skills. So make sure you have all of them mentioned beautifully enough. Okay. So now coming to whatever you have, wherever you have worked and your projects. So you should mention all the places where you have worked upon. Although I haven't done it clearly because I mean, after I got my first job at Microsoft, and after that I mean, kept on getting jobs. But ideally, what you should do, you should mention your profile. You should mention what you are doing exactly here. So even when I'll be updating it, I'll write that what I did at L60, what I did at L59, this is what I should have done. I should have written what you should do as a product engineer and mentor. Okay, so mention your day-to-day tasks, what technology you work upon, what kind of problems do you solve. Make sense? I can tell you something. I regularly get job offers even in this current market crisis. Correct? And why is that? Because my LinkedIn is properly updated. You have to make sure it's for you. Make sense? Cool. Now let's move ahead. So now coming to how will you grow? How actually are you going to grow your LinkedIn? Let's just say you updated all the things, you have a good profile now, but how will you grow? So for that, what you have to do, you can share your interview experiences. I talk to my students, I tell them that you have to share something on LinkedIn so people will connect with you. Then my students will say, Bhaiya, I haven't cracked any interview. How can I share something? So you can share your failure story, right? It will still help somebody else to know what is being asked in the interview. You can share something motivational till the time it's in the professional side. Never share unprofessional stuff. I mean, you have to draw a line. Again, this is not Instagram, right? Even if you cannot do this, you can engage in posts, you can like, share and comment all of them. Because I can tell you, your network is your worth. The number of people know you, I mean, the more chances you have of getting a job, right? Now share valuable content, right? Now one more very interesting thing, which I mean, I don't think LinkedIn recommends it, but I have done it a lot and it has helped me a lot. I used to send connection requests randomly during my initial days when I was looking for jobs. For example, I was interested in Microsoft, so I will simply Google Microsoft. I mean, sorry, I will search Microsoft. I will go to people section and I'll simply send connection request to all of them. Now, how it will help me, why it will help me, why we should do it randomly. Because, see, when I was working at Microsoft, our HR used to ask us that we are looking for people you can refer, or my manager used to tell me, hey, Aman, if you have any good referrals, you can share with me. So the number of connections I have from Microsoft, they will 100% post it out on their LinkedIn, and I will get that, right? If they are my connections. So that is why you should have connections from all the companies you are interested in. And what does it cost? You can simply open the app in your phone and keep on clicking, right? Just search for Microsoft, send 20 connection requests to Microsoft people, send 20 connection requests to Google people, or for that matter any company that you are interested in. Hope it makes sense, right? But you have to be connected to them. That's the only way you get these job opportunities. And this is not going to happen in a day. You have to do it every day. After this one, this is something, the next slide is something that I've seen a lot on LinkedIn, and I don't know, for some reason people do this. So I mean, these kind of messages I get a lot. So thank you so much for accepting my connection request. I just want you to mentor me. Hello, thanks, how are you, sir? Hi Paya, hi Aman, hope you're doing well. So there is a famous URL. There was a famous URL that we used to have as our bio on Microsoft, aka.ms/no hello. So it represents chat etiquette when you're connecting to someone professionally. So you should never write hi and wait for the other person to say hi, then you will ask your question. This is not the way you should connect professionally. When you are messaging someone over LinkedIn, these should not be your messages. Your message, in its first, in its first message, you should include what is your intent, what is the doubt you have, and whatever you're working on, right? For example, hi, if you're not busy, I was wondering if I can ask a question. I'm working on this, and you have to mention all of this. So it's the other person's choice whether he wants to reply on it or not. You should not message with hi, wait for the other person's hi, because you both may not be online in the same time. Now you'll ask your next question, you'll get a reply. This actually wastes time. This you should not do. Okay, you have to write a complete message, one in itself. You want that URL, it's aka.ms/no hello. aka.ms/no hello. This is what it is. Just paste it in the chat. Okay, so guys, you can follow. Now, how to ask for referrals. Now let's move on to the next important question. How are you going to ask for referrals? So this is a message that I have used. I have seen people texting me, and it actually works. So your message should be complete in itself. Hi, hope you're doing good. I'm Aman, currently working as a software engineer, or whatever your profile is, in XYZ for the last 2 years. I have experience of working on these technologies. I have solved these many TSA problems. This is my GitHub profile and my resume. Please let me know if there are any openings in your team or organization. Thank you for your time. So this is what I send. And now this message is complete in itself. Now the other person is independent whether they want to refer me or not, right? I haven't texted them hi and I'm waiting for their message, because it just wastes their time, and most probably if you send a hi, you won't get any reply. Cool. So this is what you can do now. What I have seen, some people write this message very 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 big. Now you should not do that. If you are writing this message of like 20 30 lines, nobody is going to read up to that. Make sure it is short and crispy, but still represent whatever you are, whoever you are, and what you want. Now, when you are when you are messaging to a software engineer, most of the time you should send them the employee ID, the job ID. Because when I was working at Microsoft, I don't know whether we have an opening in my organization or not. Okay, when you ping this message to me, send this message. This will not work for me because I don't know if there is an opening. If I'm a manager or I'm an HR, then I know there are some openings where I will refer you. So if you're pinging to somebody like SD1 or SD2, make sure you're sending the job ID. Cool. Is this clear to everyone? You can ask for referral directly, my bro. Okay, just make sure you are asking it in a good manner. And one more thing, I mean, some of my students, they feel disheartened when they don't get replies in LinkedIn. So what I have felt, the ratio is when you ask for referrals for 200 people, you'll get 5 responses. So I mean, this is what you should keep in mind. Okay, when you send 200 messages, you will get 5 responses. Just keep this in your mind, and believe me, you'll feel good. Just have this stat in your mind and you'll feel good. And the more active you are on LinkedIn, believe me, the more chances you have to get a job, the more opportunities you will get. Interviews really have to crack, but yeah. So I think if everything is clear, we can move from LinkedIn to resume side. How can a fresher construct his her LinkedIn ID? Simple, sort of. Some of the points that I mentioned, you can uh, make sure of these things, right? You can have a good profile URL, you can use a good headline, have a good profile picture. You will have some skills, right? You must have made some projects. Now how many of you feel confused where to make projects? This is also a good question. Okay, how many of you feel how where will I make project? I'm a fresher. How many of you feel that I don't have good project ideas? This is something that I get a lot. Yes, no? So guys, the best place, from what I have observed, the best place to get idea for your project is, let me show you. The best place to get idea for a project is go to a hackathon. Okay, hackathon, for those of you who don't know, is it's nothing but a competition where people from different colleges or different places come out and work on some ideas, right? Now when I talk to my students, they are like, Bhaiya, I don't have any, I mean, I don't feel I am skilled enough to go to a hackathon. I will 100% lose. What I used to do, go to your first hackathon and be prepared of losing. Okay, just go with the intent of losing. Just go with the intent of losing. Just be ready. Okay, I mean, not intent of losing, just be ready that you're going to lose in your first hackathon. But when you go to your first hackathon, you will get to listen 50 different ideas. Now tell me, do you know any other place where you can listen 50 different ideas in the same day? Do you know any single place where you can get 50 different ideas at the same day? No, this is the only place, right? So go to a hackathon with the intent of losing, listen to 50 different ideas, and believe me, once you go to hackathon, the way you see people working up, 100% in 2 or 3 working days, you will have a project. Okay, you will have a working project in 2 3 days that you can add as a fresher in your resume, right? If you don't have any good project that you feel, why don't, who is stopping you from going into hackathon? They love to help people who are just starting. Make sense? Is this clear, guys, what I mean by hackathons? And try to go, I mean, try to just go to a physical hackathon. Believe me, you will get better connections, and again, the more connections you have, the more chances you will have. How to get track of hackathons? So one way is you can simply Google out. Okay, just simply Google out na nearest hackathons. There are some websites you can check on Devfolio. Let me mention some points on the resume. Most probably the majority of resumes I have got will get rejected based on that, but you can correct it, right? Let me mention some key points here. Okay, I mean, that's not clear because I have pasted it as a photo, but I don't think that's a problem. Cool. So what you have to take care is you have to provide link to your projects and other handles. Okay, this is what this person has done. Details of the technology you have to mention. I think that's also done. Clear format and easy to read. Again, it's a photo. It's just a photo, that's why maybe you cannot see it clearly, but it's clear enough. Clear format and is easy to parse, and each bullet point shows numbers, so look good enough to me, right? Now let's try to find some mistakes in this one. So friends, try to make it one pager. Okay, try to make it one pager. Now say, I'll tell you a simple thing. Elon Musk has one page resume. Do you have more content than him? So when I talk to students, they tell me, bhaiya, I have more content, I cannot accommodate it in one page. Arey bhai, you can. You don't know how to manage it. Nobody has time to look over your 5 pages of resume. When I was hiring, or I hire for my team, if I see a 5 page of resume, I'll directly ignore it. Nobody sees more than one page. Your resume should be crisp and precise. Now one other thing, mention the level of expertise among your skills. So if you look into this resume, this person has mentioned that he knows Java, Spring Boot, SQL Server, and whatever. The thing here is nobody can be equally good in all the technologies, right? So you can mention the relative level of the knowledge, of your knowledge in these technologies. For example, you could be expert in some of them, you could be average, and you could be familiar with some of them. I'll just give you a very simple example. So I don't write anything in my resume which I'm not aware of. So when I was going for my Microsoft resume, in one of my projects, in one of my group projects, we worked on neural network. Now my friend worked on neural network, I didn't work on that, so I was not confident on that part. So in from the description of that project, I removed the word neural network, because I didn't want the interviewer to get a chance to use a word written on my resume against me, right? Now, coming to the next part, whenever you are mentioning your project or work, make sure you follow this format. This is a very beautiful format that I got from one of my seniors at Scala. First, you write your project name, then one line description of the project along with why it was needed, then your description of your contribution to the project. I mean, if it was a project 100%, you did not make it alone. Then one line description of what the outcome of the project was, and that has to be in metrics. Okay, and at the end you have to mention the technologies that you used in the project. Now out of all these things, for me what carries the most weightage is the metric. I mean, companies care about it, right? So there is a word I'll use. When I was at Microsoft, we used to use a word impact. If you use all the technologies in the world and it's not creating good impact, it's equal to waste for them. So you have to clearly mention the impact that you did, that you created, and it actually improves the credibility a lot. Okay, now metric could be anything. It could be revenue, response time, usage number, availability, NPS. So you have to think around these things. Whatever you did, how did it improve something that was already there? Cool. Now, I just mentioned some very easy things that I have seen. There's some very basic problems that I don't know, for some reason I've seen in people's resume. You should have a professional email. So I'll tell you something. I was reviewing one of the resume, and there was a girl. Her email ID was sonikudi@gmail.com. Now I don't think that was professional enough. Maybe people will hire her. I'm nobody to judge, but I think it should be professional, right? So, and then you should have up to date information in your resume. Now, this third point, professionally designed template. So, this I want to talk around this. So, what I do when I want to make my resume, I search very simple overleaf computer science resume. Okay, I'll just Google it up. I'll open the first URL and I'll show you some benefits of it. So, what all resumes am I lacking? I think this one is good enough. I'll open this one. What else? Mhm. This one looks good enough to me. Second one. Now this looks good enough to me. This looks good enough to me. So I'll choose some of the resumes, some of the template out of these. And this is a very beautiful place to create your resume. It's totally free for you. You are not charged for it. Okay. And maybe this one. So this is how I choose a template. Now, once I choose a template, what you can do, you can open it as a template. And Simply now wherever you want to write, this is a template you got, you just have to fill the voids. For example, here I have a your name. I'll just click to it, and in its place I will write my name, and I'll recompile it. So this looks easy, right? Now you have a properly formatted template for you, and here you can create your resume. Now one more benefit of it is, I'll show you my template. This is the template that I use. This is my resume from the time at Pep Coding. Now if I want to update it to my current work like I'm working at Scalar, so what I'll have to do, I have the same template. I can get it anywhere in the world. Okay, even if I am in New York, I'll just have to log in with my Google account, and I can get this template. I'll have all the details ready. I just have to make some changes, right? On the other hand, if you save it to Drive or use some different format, it will go here there. This actually helps me a lot. It has saved me a lot. And is it looking professional or good enough, right? Have a human proofread your resume. Now another question that I ask to people is, how much time do you think it takes to create a resume? If I ask you, you have to create a resume, how much time it will take? If I have asked you, you have to create your resume fresh from the start today, in how much time you can create it? You can say anything: 2 days, 3 days, 1 hour, half an hour, 20 minutes, whatever, your call. So what if I tell you, if I create my resume, it takes me around a week. I mean, at least 3 4 days, not continuous 3 4 days, but 2 hours. It takes me 2 hours, maybe for 3 4 days. Because what I'll do, I first create a basic template, then I tinker around that, I improve that up, then I ask somebody to review it. After that, I get it back, I again update it. After that, I review. After then, I ask somebody else to review it, then I again update it. So if you don't have a resume and you feel you can make it in 2 hours, believe me, if you have made it in 2 hours, you haven't done justice to your resume. You can 100% make it better, right? You can 100% make it better. Just give it some time. I mean, instead of spending 4 hours together, I would say spend 1 hour 4 days. Correct? So make sure you're taking care of this part. And whatever you're writing, the statements that you're writing, they should be good enough in third person, right? I usually ask my seniors to review it. So for example, if I am at a Scalar, I'll ask Arnab, bhaiya, can you review my resume or somewhere, right? Cool. Now when I share these templates to my students, some of them will say what, that bhaiya, I don't have enough content. How many of you feel that you don't have enough content to fill this resume? I mean, when I usually talk to college students, they tell me, bhaiya, I don't have enough content to fill this one. What do you feel? Anyone who feels that I don't have enough content for a particular format? So I mean, you can take it more like a brotherly advice. You can take it more like a brotherly advice. If you feel you have enough content to fill 70% of this resume, pick this template. I mean, this is something that I am telling you from my personal experience. That to all the non-tech people or whoever feels that you don't have enough content to fill a particular resume, pick a resume that you feel I have 70% content of it. Once you start filling it and you spend 3 4 days, believe me, you will get the rest 30%. Okay, this I can assure you. This I can assure you from I have helped more than like 20 30 people make their resume. So if you feel you have 70% content of this resume, pick this up. Okay, now if somebody who feels they have more content, you can pick more like a 2 column resume, although it's not considered very good. Okay, even I have that, but yeah, I recently got to know, I was talking to some HR, that you should have more 1 column resume. Cool. So if you feel you have 70% content of this resume, this template, pick this template. 70% of this one, pick this template. That's like my brotherly advice. Once you start making it up, believe me, you will get it. Now, moving to the next part. Now find out what recruiter wants. Read up about the job you're applying, okay? And make sure you are adding specific experiences to that. For example, when I apply for a fintech company, I mention some different kind of skills when I'm applying from a tech for a tech company. Okay, because I invest also, so these things I take care of. Make sure your resume is eye catching. You can use some color or attributes. It should be clean and beautiful. I mean, it should attract somebody. Make sure you have some facts and figures, like I mentioned, to show you have delivered result, and try to continuously improve your resume. So I think this is all that I had. I will review some resumes. I was watching the video of one of my Microsoft HR, and she mentioned that one page resume, one column resume is better to read. I mean, even I was not aware of that thing. So she told me when I see a one column resume, it's easier for her to read. That's why. Cool. So I'll just see some of the resumes. So I'll start randomly. For example, when I start with this one, first of all, it's 2 pages, right? So already not that good. So make sure just you're making it a 1 page. Now about me, coming to about me, guys, if you have something specific to yourself which represents what kind of engineer you are, then only write it. Otherwise, you can ignore it. If you're a fresher, totally ignore it. Cool. Now, coming to languages, okay. Now here he could have mentioned what languages he knows more. The way I was mentioning that relative level of skill set. Now what else? Android app developer. I finished a 4 week internship. Now here I am also missing like what kind of work he did in that particular place, right? Think that's all. Let's move ahead. Let's see some other resume. So let's just start. Cool. So Shivapaji, ji, I'm a team-oriented, successful software professional who like to learn and help people. Here, Shivapaji, ji, I expect more around your technical skills. Okay, I expect more of your technical skills, like in these 2 3 lines, what kind of work you have done or what kind of roles you are interested in. Cool. Now coming to career objective, I am eager to expand my skill set. Okay, this is good. Relative level of skill set, this is also good. Now here also in the skill section, Shivapaji, you can mention what is the relative order of the skills that you know. This is good. Certificates and awards. Now coming to key projects, design and developing an in-house application for maintaining parents using Django and MySQL database. We will track the in the patent. Sorry, I read parent. So again, Shivapaji, here you can mention what end result it gave, right? Yes or no? What kind of end result you got out of this? This is what you have to take care. This looks good to me. This one where you're currently working, implemented as a chicken. Good enough, but yeah, some pointers which you can improve. Just make sure you're mentioning here. Cool. What else I can see? Anubhav. We have Basiji. Where is Anubhav? Anubhav. Yeah, this one. Anubhav, bro, I would say, I mean, just an advice. You can choose a better resume, okay? A better template. Now, when have you graduated? You are this year graduated. Okay, so for you, good. Now you're working at Nagaro. You can mention a bit more about your day-to-day roles. Okay, Anubhav? What is your day-to-day role? What kind of work do you do? What things do you handle? So you are doing something at Nagaro, right? That you can mention. Now you are a trainee. This is good. Lead code GFG. Where is your LinkedIn? Okay, LinkedIn is also here. Now among the skill set, mention the relative level of skill set that you have. Blog web application, application that contain login and sign up functionality. Post are fetched from a third party API using a custom hook for dummy data. Okay, this is good. This is good. Achievement is good. Solved more than 400 DSA problems. Mhm. Again, something that I am missing, Anubhav, is what you have to take care is you have to represent the result of the work that you did. I mean, you did an intern at Ustahan, right? So here you have to mention what was the end result of your work or why you were doing the project. These things you can add. Cool. And maybe you can remove the intermediate or high school part. Hope this is fine. Once you correct that out, then maybe we'll discuss again. Cool. Neeraj Sati. Maybe we can pick this one. One of the beautiful templates. Very, very beautiful template, Neeraj. I enjoy this template very much. Okay. You are from IB University, even I am from IB University. So, first thing, in the technologies, just change it to your relative level of skill set. Okay. Now, when you write, you can remove HTML CSS, to be very honest, because HTML CSS, if I'm not wrong, is being taught in 8th to 10, 8th, 9th or 10th class, right? So just remove this. This does not inserts weight into your resume. Now, hopefully, when you are taking a hard copy of it, you replace these things with the actual URL, because they will not be clickable in that case. Now, coming to your projects, the Google search engine clone with functionality to search in category like used Google custom search API, YouTube data API. Okay. And why were you creating it in the first place, and what was the end result? These two things are missing. Now, full stack responsive blog website where users can upload blogs, edit them, and read the blogs uploaded. Okay. Just make sure you're writing a bit technical information, more technical information. You can articulate it a little better, the blogspot one, and add your technical details, and obviously the end result. Working on a gaming app with live engagement, creating various APIs for different functionalities provided. ठीक है, then good enough. Good enough, Neeraj. Okay. What else? Harshit Pratap Singh. Harshit. Where is Harshit? Maybe let's pick this one. Mhm. So first of all, convert it to one page. Whoever's resume is it? Shonil, are you here? So Shonil, make sure it's one page for starters. Okay. Then you don't need to write this whole address. You can just mention the area, and that is fine. LinkedIn profile, I think you also have not corrected it. So just make sure you update it. Now you summary analytical mind and data analyst with years of experience. Okay, I think this is good. Small and beautiful summary. Then educational qualification. Okay, this is also good. The only thing that's hurting me is it's two page. What you can do, you can move maybe education section down. Now coming to experience, experience is also mentioned properly. What I'm getting, you can mention maybe the technologies used, like support vector machines or whatever algorithm, machine learning algorithm that you used, maybe in a separate line. Okay, but good enough, certainly good enough. And the technical skills, again, just mention the relative order of them, which one you feel you are more confident in, because interviewer is not interested in failing you. He just want to know whatever you claim that you know, do you actually know it? So if you say I know React, or if you say I'm good in machine learning, they'll ask questions around that only. Cool. So I think that's good enough. What else? Manish Prajapati. Manish, where is Manish? Maybe let's open Manas. Manas, bro, it's 3 pages, yeah. I am saying it's hard to read one page. You're making it 3 pages. Just change it to one page, okay? A very long summary it's written. Just make it cut to the chase. What else? Again, no output is mentioned. What kind of work you're doing, what kind of technologies you're working on. So this is actually not very readable. Okay, make sure you use a better template. Not reading it completely. So let me see. Shubham Soni. Shubham. Where is Shubham Soni? I don't see a Shubham Soni. Let's see Satyam. Not finding any Satyam here. Rushi. Let's just see. This is Rushi. Okay, this is also another very beautiful template, Rushi. When you use this template, you get extra 1 marks. Okay, just because of choosing this template, you got 1 more mark. So good for starters. Now you can mention your phone number completely. How will the HR contact you? Mention it completely. Phone number is fine. Now you will graduate next year. Okay, that's good. Remove from the languages HTML CSS part. Okay. Now you understand while you're writing languages, you're mixing different kind of languages here, right? Okay. Now framework all again. Just mention the relative level of skill set you have in these technologies. Now coming to your experience, work with platform team on accomplishing placement journey and badge gamification for students. Okay. Implemented PL SQL scripts. That is fine. Just add the end result of this also. Okay, Rushi. I mean, what impact you created out of this? Because 100%, if you are interning there, you must know. If I am not wrong, whenever we start a project in corporate, we decide what will be its end result. So add that. Coming to that, this is good. This is good. Innovated a web portal that consists of people with 5 different types of occupations, such as service provider, tutor. Okay, and you use Django and Twilio. So good enough, Rishi. Okay, sorry, good enough, Rishi. I need to refresh the page. Let me refresh the page. I got too many resumes now. How can I end? Okay, Priyanka. Let's search for Priyanka ji's resume. Priyanka ji, it's 3 page, right? So one thing is 100% clear that you have to make it 1 page. Correct? Just convert it to 1 page for starters. Now this summary, this is very big. This is not a summary. This is an essay. You have to write a shorter summary, something in 2, 3, 4 lines that anyone can read and understand what you want to do. This is not a summary. I mean, what is the purpose of summary? If you think, I think it's for me to decide whether I should consider you for the role, the kind of opening that I have or not, right? So it's very big, to be very honest. Let's make it short, and then you can remove the professional synopsis part. Now this project, I think you should have given more details, like what was the problem statement, what you were trying to do, what was the end goal. Knowledge per review, coding and designing. Too much technical terms. I'm not sure if they are adding much value to your resume. Now, coming to technical skills, just mention the relative level of skills and remove HTML, CSS. Guys, one thing you have to understand, HTML, CSS is being taught in school. I mean, unless you have, something very, you have made some very awesome project, just remove. Okay. Now, coming to projects, Priyanka not mentioned them properly. This is like you've written just one line. Just improve it. Training and certifications. Why is it taking this much space? Nah, bad. Correct it. This is good. Maybe you can mention just your graduation and remove the other parts. And these details like proficiency in English, Hindi, Marathi, I'm telling you to be very honest, it is not important. Okay, if you're applying for a tech company, I am interested in knowing whether you know C++ or Java, not Hindi, English, Bhojpuri or any other language. Okay, so this last page, so you can 100% remove. No significance of this. Cool. Now who was the next one? Ellen. Okay. Coming to it, Ellen. Okay, you're graduating next year. Sahi. So I'll start with here. App development you can do in Dart and Flutter. Technology, Git, Firebase, MySQL. Okay. Web development, just remove HTML, CSS, bro. They don't carry any weightage. Then Dart, Python, Java, JavaScript, C, and SQL. Okay. You should also mention the relative level of skills you have. Okay. The relative level of skills you have between these languages and things. Now, coming to your projects. I would love to know what technology did you work upon. Acha, here you have written HTML, CSS, JS. You can you shadow a little more detail into these things? Just make sure you're adding more details on these things. They look very short. Even if you have to remove one project, that's totally fine. See, when we are in early phase of our career, for some reason we feel the more I write in my resume, the higher my chances will be. I tell you something very honestly. Okay, when I was applying for one of my interview, I made one project on Angular, but I was not very confident on its technical detail. So I removed the word. I removed Angular from it. While asking about tell me about yourself, I said that I have made one project on Angular also, because I didn't want the other person to ask technical details of Angular to me. Cool. So, again, this voluntary experience, just move it to the end. Move it to the end, okay? Now, work experience, just add it a bit more. What your day to day looks like, what kind of problems you are solving, and what is your end, what is your care or something. Cool. So, good for now, Ellen. Maybe we can search for Parth. Where is Parth? Okay. Parth. You graduated in 2015 part. So what you can do, bro, first thing is just move this education section to the end, okay? Remove this 10th and 12th part and move this to the end. Cool. Because the first thing when I open a resume of a person who's experienced like 7 years, I just want to see something else. Cool. Now coming to your professional experience. So Parth, I'll tell you what is happening. I'm trying to read it, but I mean, the fonts are not very clearly different. Okay, so just make sure you're using different fonts among them. This is like Bank of America is trying to get merged into developing line. So developing project to generate reports. Mhm. Okay, technologies you have mentioned properly. Can you also mention here what is the end result of the work that you are doing, or whatever you did in Q3, or whatever you did in TCS? I mean, what you are forgetting, the harder part is that this thing, guys, we have to make sure whatever you are adding, you have to specify the outcome and metrics of it. Okay, you must have written it in your annual review or somewhere, because the metric actually represents the impact of work that you did. Cool. So just make sure you're adding these for these technologies. Now coming to proficiency, again, you have to mention the relative strength. Or if you have worked on something you don't feel confident upon, maybe you can remove it up. Cool. So guys, I think, I mean, what pattern I am observing now is in all the resumes we are getting the same mistakes, right? Industry gap matters, like less than 1 year gap. So you currently have less than 1 year of gap, so maybe you can cover it infinity with some project or something that you did, right? If it's less than 1 year, you can 100% handle it. Honestly, I mean, this works. Okay, whatever I mentioned, this all works. It has worked for me or for my friends who are working at Google, Amazon, or any big company. Can I remove certificate and an achievement? But if it's using space, Piyush, you have one page of space, and you feel you can add something more significant instead of that, 100% remove it. So let's just see. Let's just start going through this one. So you're working at Intuit with SD2. Okay, very nice. Tech stack you have mentioned properly. You have mentioned the amount of work, the impact of your work. That's very good. Now you before this you were at Credit Suisse. Here also you mentioned things very clearly. Very nice. To be very honest, Shubham, very nice resume. Huh? Skills you have mentioned properly. Education is in the last. Hobbies is good. Achievements is good. And you have mentioned the proficiency, familiarity. Okay, this is one of the very good resume, Shubham. We can use it as a sample. Okay, this is certainly very good. Okay, maybe some end level things we can improve. If I read maybe the text, we will feel that we can improve it. Maybe. But overall on a high level, it's very good. Okay. One of those very standard resumes that I am suggesting to people. One thing that you can do, Shubham, is this certificate parts. I mean, if I open a resume of this level, I expect to see something else on the top, right? What do you think? So maybe you can move it to the last or add something more significant to on the upper side. Cool. So guys, again, I'm simply telling you, most probably you will have the similar kind of problem. Just correct it and send me over to LinkedIn. 100% I'll correct it out. Not achievements, even not achievements. I would say the skills part. You can correct. You can swap the certificates with skills should go to the top, then achievements, then certificates. Cool. So one of the very good resumes. Okay.
So I have handpicked a few of them. We'll be going in an order-wise manner. So I think the first one is this one. So this is a resume by Aman Gupta. So again, basically before we go into the actual review for each of these resumes, there are five main things that one should keep in mind, right? So those five things are that the resume should be built depending on the type of job interview or like whatever job application that you're applying for. So what that means is that if you are a web developer and for some reason, let's say you're looking out for a career change, you're applying for a job in a machine learning based position, but then your entire resume is filled with projects, filled with experiences, filled with skill sets that showcase only web development, then that probably might not make a lot of sense, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing is that always only put that thing in your resume that you are aware of. Don't try to fill up your resume with things that you might not be aware of. You might know, you might not have done them before, right? Because an experienced interviewer will be able to pick out those things and they will be able to find out that yes, you were bluffing. So always be honest and only put in those things in your resume that you are aware of, right? The third thing is in terms of the order in which you place the items. So in order of the decreasing relevancy, the most important is your experience, right? Because the experience is what really matters to everyone who looks at your resume. Then the different kind of projects that you have built, the skill sets that you have, then of course your education, right? And then coming in with some kind of achievements, some workshops that you might have done, some kind of career things that you might have done on a volunteer basis, or if you have left some communities and all. So basically that's like usually the order that one should have. Then fourth one is that your resume should not be more than one pager in size. Now let's say if you are like 20-30 years of experience, then you might need slightly longer resume. Or let's say you are coming in from a background of research where you have published a lot of research papers, you have published a lot of let's say different kind of documents, you might have given talks or presentations at a lot of more conferences, then that's like let's say a exception. But usually try to limit your resume to one pager. So again, you have to be highly selective in what kind of information do you actually want to provide to the user, right? Whosoever is reviewing your resume, they won't really have time for 5-6 pages of resume to review. So try to limit your resume to one pager. And the fifth one is again, try to make efficient use of space. Don't have too many gaps. No need to provide irrelevant information, right? We'll be coming on to a few of those examples where we can see that happening. So again, try to keep it as crisp and as detailed as possible, which really showcases your skills. Again, keeping in mind that people who are going to be reviewing your resume might not have a lot of time to go through each and everything. So use of proper fonts, use of proper formatting, everything does make quite a lot of matter. Like it does matter quite a lot. So with those things in mind, we'll get started with the resumes for reviewing. Again, we have selected 12, 13 different resumes. All had different styles. They had something or the other that we could have discussed about them, right? So the first one that we have is of Aman Gupta. Now, if we just look at the resume, or at the top, the user has given his name and a few different links, including LinkedIn, GitHub, and mobile number. So mobile number is something that even if you do not mention it, it's not relevant. I mean, if you want to like mention it, then it's fine. If you don't want to mention it, you can simply ignore it. The most important things are your email, if you're providing some kind of relevant social links such as your LinkedIn, Twitter, or GitHub. Those are what are going to be more important. And then again, probably no need to add the logo, or even some people put their profile picture. So not really relevant to add your profile picture. I mean, we are not really going to showcase how we look in our resume, right? The star has to be your actual content and the kind of relevant experiences that you have. So again, the overall structure, just to sort of look at it, I think it is a good resume in terms of being able to detail a lot of these different things, because as I mentioned, right, so how we should structure the resume is the most important relevance should be given to the experience and to their projects, right? So either you can have like just one column based resume, or you might have two column based resumes, right? So depending on which type of resume that you might have, let's say if you have two different sections, so on one section you could have your skills and your experience, and then your projects and your education, and then finally, let's say your positions of responsibility, some kind of achievements that you might have received. So that's the decreasing order of the relevancy that you can have. So over here in this case, for example, even if you have used education at the top, it's fine. But one thing that you could probably just remove is your high school, because at this point of time, like let's say if you have just started out with your college, if you're in your first year right now, then adding your education of your high school or of your schooling days might be fine. But like because you are probably in your third year right now, right, you can simply just remove it and probably add some more details, right, as well. And then in terms of the skills, you have mentioned the different kind of languages and frameworks that you have used. Again, subjects is something that is not that relevant if you are adding some kind of coursework. It's something that is expected, like if you are a computer science student, or if you have been studying computer science, so people will assume that yes, you are clear with concepts such as operating systems, computer networks, data structures, right? So subjects is something that can be ignored. But what you could do is just probably break down the skills and in this skill section into, let's say, separate languages, databases, frameworks. But this appears to be fine. Then Aman has mentioned his experience in terms of the different internships that they have done. And again, whenever you are sort of sharing your experience section, let's say you might be having 20, 30 years of experience, and you might have had, let's say, 12, 15 different experiences. Then try to have your latest experiences that you have. Don't have like 10, 12 experiences. No need to share all of those. At max, try to limit it to 3 or 4 experiences. And whenever you talk about any experience, the 2 to 3 most important things that should be there when you're talking about our experiences, basically, what are the different things that you actually worked upon, right? The second is what was your tech stack, right? And third is if you made certain improvements, if something that you did actually was really successful, or it caused a huge improvement in something, right? So that is pretty well explained in this resume by Aman, where he has clearly mentioned that in this program of Summer of Bitcoin, he developed an open source library that was based on this particular tech stack. And then he has also explained and also shared the source code. So source code is somewhat optional, because you may or may not be able to share the source code depending on the company. And always make sure that because of course some companies might have an NDA where you're not supposed to share what you did exactly in that role. So just consult with your company that if you can share certain things in your so that it does not violate with the NDA. So but this is a perfect example, because if you look at the second one, again, Aman has mentioned what he did, what different kind of technologies that he used, and then he has also bold in bold letters, he has mentioned that he was able to actually reduce the load time of the front end website from 7.8 seconds to 2.7 seconds. So these are the things that really catch the interviewer's eye, and this is a perfect example of not really making it too short, that you are just mentioning I worked upon an open source library and that's it. You should explain some of the details, but again, you also shouldn't like have 10, 11 points, right? You have to keep it minimal, but also it should be able to showcase and speak about what you actually did. So at least from this I can understand that yes, Aman is a full stack developer, right? And then in the projects again, he has given the links of the live link and also the source code of the different projects that he has built, again explaining in very good detail on what exactly does that particular project it does, and the tech stack used again. So it's very easy for me to understand the different kind of tech, like different kind of projects that Aman has built. And again, very I mean, I don't have any particular things to really say about it, because it's perfect, it's perfectly mentioned, and links and live source code has also been shared. So in case like even you have built some project, try to make it open sourced, try to share the link of it if it's actually deployed, if it's a web application, mobile applications, try to share the link of it, right? Because that will give much more credibility to your resume, because now you are giving a proof that yes, you have actually successfully been able to share something, and that will put a good impression of your skill set as well when you are actually building your application, right? So then we have basically the achievements mentioned. So again, there are some achievements of getting some kind of competitive programming rankings. So yeah, I mean, definitely if you have some really good rankings, or you have gotten some good achievements in, let's say, a hackathon, if you have submitted a research paper, you can definitely share that. Now, position of responsibility, something that is not completely necessary. So even if let's say you don't necessarily have if you don't necessarily have, let's say, the position of responsibility mentioned in your resume, it would be completely fine. But if you have some space left, then of course, I mean, you can add that, because again, the most amount of relevance is definitely in the years of experience and projects. So I think overall this is a good resume. The structuring is good enough. A lot of great details have been mentioned. I think just if you could remove things such as this education, just probably rework a little on the skills, I think that's a really good resume overall. So this is the next one. Now, of course, there are certain things in this that are definitely worth. I mean, it's definitely something that can be improved. So first of all, I mean, if you look at it, it does not look honestly very professional. So basically, I mean, if you look at the top, first of all, there's no need to use such a big font to highlight your name, right? Because as you can see that almost 30, close to 30% of the entire page is actually just going to this particular section, which could have been covered in like less than half of the space. So if you're adding your LinkedIn, no need to use this kind of formatting, because it really is slightly inconsistent, right? Because with your resume you also want to make it more professional, so that it provides a good impression to whoever is reviewing your resume. So for example, with technical skills, no need to add this kind of shadow box, right? It's not it's completely unnecessary to really put it in this way. You could just add bullet points. You could go ahead and add basic details, right? Then again, if you look at these skills, right? So again, one thing to keep in mind is that things such as like being a team player, flexible, these personal skills are not something that are really relevant, because of course, I mean, everyone aspires to be like flexible or be good at problem solving. And then if you're providing like stars, I mean, what does this really convey? I mean, like out of how many, like how do you convey to someone, or how do you quantize like the star system? So this is something that I see quite common, right, commonly, that sometimes you have a percentage, for example, you are 90% in HTML, but on what basis are you saying that 90%? Are you saying that out of, let's say, like, out of everything that is there in HTML, do you know 90% of those things? So whenever you are putting in your skills, try to avoid, like, like the stars or these percentage symbols, where you showcase how proficient you are. In case you want to still add something, then you could probably, inside of your skill sets, you could divide it into proficient in, then let's say, like medium in, right? And probably, of course, you should just try to, avoid things such as, if you are a beginner in some kind of a skill, because you should only add those things, as I mentioned, in your resume, that are making more sense, right? And those you're comfortable, you're confident enough with. So definitely a lot of scope of improvement for this particular resume. Again, you don't need to put your 11th, your 10th and 12th details. Again, things such as these are not really relevant. You could probably put them in more pointers. The only thing that I will recommend, again, in this project section would be, if you could, go ahead and also share like clickable links, and if you have deployed these codes, if you could share those, that would actually make a lot more sense as well. So these are definitely some of the things that I'll recommend for this particular project, for this particular resume. So no need to put such a huge, font. Try to limit the space that you have while, sharing your credentials. Then, in case of technical skills, avoid using these boxes and shadow. Just put it in normal text format, and that should be good enough. Then, for your projects, make sure to provide links, demonstration, GitHub links of these projects, and try to explain them in more details, such as what does that particular project it does, then what is the tech stack of that particular project, right? And try to avoid putting in, things such as these stars, because these can be very confusing to whosoever is reviewing your resume. So I think that's some of the things that can be improved. You could try to follow some of the standardized formats of resumes that people usually go with. Overleaf is one of them. There are certain templates that you'll find, Timeleaf. These are some of them that you can refer to and try to rework on your resume, because it will definitely become much more better if you're using a standardized format, and if you can remove all of these different things. By the way, we have Naman.
How important a session on resume review is, because resume is like the first entry, it's like the sales pitch that you have to make to your interviewer or to your recruiter or to your hiring manager, right? This is like a quick sales pitch of you, and how well your resume is written basically determines how good are your chances in the future rounds as well, at least for the very first steps.
The next one that we'll review is Ashwin. So yeah, I mean, like, Naman, if you would want to go ahead and just take a look at the resume and share some of your thoughts about it, then I can join in as well.
Sure, sure. Okay, so on the very first glance, it is very well structured. Okay, no use of excessive colors, in a very formal manner, in a very succinct manner. So I would just like to convey one particular thing about resume as well. Okay, as I mentioned in the earlier intro, right? A resume is like a sales pitch. The very first 6 or 7 seconds of sales which you have, it's going to be used by your recruiters when they try to screen your profile. It's going to be used by the engineering managers or the hiring managers, who are probably going to take a look at your profile to see if they should conduct interviews or not. Then it is also going to be looked by almost every interviewer of you. So you have to make your resume in a way such that the sales pitch, the resume is your sales pitch, right? The sales pitch works well with all of these three audiences. So try to keep that audience in mind. So the very first important factor to work with all of those is to have a very minimal and formal kind of interface, not many colors, in a very, I mean, like pointed manner. So those things are very well written here. So there are a good number of pointers. Education is written clearly. I can have a quick glance over the resume and get to know a high level understanding about the candidate. Okay. So that is the very first initial thoughts. Let me just see about other things. So he has had an experience at Trapsi as an administrative intern, assisted with organizing and managing the daily. Okay, so one point that I would like to convey regarding experience and projects. Okay, it's a similar feedback that I have for both of those parts. Normally, the people who are going to take a look at your resume, right? All the three type of people love numbers. Okay, so try to put
Yeah.
numbers there. Don't just tell what you did. Tell what was achieved using that. What was the impact of it? Okay, so I have a very similar. I have a very simple framework on what to put in a resume in the projects and the experience. So have 4 points. The very first point should be about what you did. Okay. I mean, like, for example, one good thing can be I assisted with organizing and managing the daily administrative works. Fine enough. Okay. Then the second thing can be why you did that particular thing. Okay. Why was that even necessary? For example, why are you doing administrative work might have a lot of reasons. It might be from very simple tasks to very time consuming tasks or very important tasks for a particular organization. Okay. So telling the why of a particular thing shows to a person that you consider that, okay, you will try to do things that are impactful for the organization, that are impactful for your career as well. So that's a very good positive sign. So the very first thing, what you did, the second thing, why you did that, then the third thing comes, how you did that. Okay, for example, let me take about your projects, the COVID vaccine availability tracker, right? So what you did, you developed a Python script to track vaccine availability in COVID website. Okay, this is the word part. Okay, why you did that? You can put a thing that, okay, I made it in a way because earlier tracking vaccine availability was a very difficult task due to a lot
Yeah.
of people simultaneously trying to assess it. Okay. Third thing, how you did that? I used Python with Covin API to get that particular thing, along with using the frameworks like Flask and all those things. This particular thing, the last line, the how you did that, tells to the recruiters the things you know. So in most of the companies, recruiters are given a particular skill sets to track, right? Okay, a person that we are trying to hire should have these skills. So putting these words, I use Flask API along with Python by consuming Covin API, tells the recruiter that you know about APIs, you know about Flask, you know about RESTful APIs and all that particular stuff. Okay. The fourth thing, which is what was achieved using it. I mean, you might have done a lot of things, but probably they might have gone waste. Okay. Or for example, you started doing using the Covin API, but eventually stopped the project, right? Having a few numbers with you tells the person that yes, some impact was achieved by it. One simple number can be that, okay, I mean, I think Ashwin has mentioned that very well, that more than 10 people use
Yep.
this script to know the availability, right? Those kind of metrics. Okay, or let us say X number of vaccines were booked by that particular thing, or it saved Y number of hours of a particular person. So those are very good things. This creates a very good impact on a particular interviewer or anyone who is in your resume. So yeah, overall, I see that you have mentioned all those 4 points. So it's a very strong resume in my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah, and probably just one thing that I had in mind, and Naman would also love to know your feedback on this, is that because I guess the student has just probably started last year in college. If you're
Mm-hmm.
looking out for tech-based internships, try to keep the experience and projects that are relevant to that particular tech stacks. For example, if you are applying for, let's say, down the line after 1 or 2 years for some internships, and you've already done, like, let's say, a couple of internships, probably this administrative internship, I'm not exactly sure now if this is actually something related to computer science or related to software development. So try to make it more and more meaningful and more adaptable to the kind of role that you're applying for, right? Because that will make a lot of sense to put content that is more specific to that specific job role.
Correct. No, totally agree. Totally agree to that particular thing, Shiva. I think I missed that particular thing. Yes. So whatever experience or whatever projects you put in your resume should be relevant to the profile that you are applying for. I see
Yeah.
many people do that mistakes that they keep on having all these certificates and they keep putting all of them on their profile. This is mainly a clutter. Okay. People are going to probably have a negative experience for that. Okay. So when
Exactly.
you're building your resume, you should take care of two things. The very first thing that you should take care of is try to show your positives, and even more important than that is to don't show your negatives. Okay, for example, sometimes people show their CGPA and it is like 6. If it is 6, I need to mention that particular thing, okay, because it
Yeah.
can have a negative impact and it can probably shadow the other great things that you have done. On that particular note, one more thing about the honors and awards. So I was recently having a conversation with an engineering manager at one of the top startups. So I had basically this question, that why do you see a resume? Okay, what exactly is the thing that you're looking out for? So one of the points that they mentioned was that they try to see one good thing there, one great thing there. Okay, it might be a college. For example, let us say if you're from one of the good colleges, it can be a very good thing. It might be a good CGPA, that okay, this person has like 9.5 CGPA or 9 plus CGPA. It might be one good achievement, that okay, for example, let us say you got rank one in that particular hackathon, or it might be one good internship or one good let's say job that you have done. For example, let us say if someone is from a tier 3 college, let us say, they miss out on one positive thing, which is a college, right? They probably don't have the brownie point there, but they still have three options, out of which if you just crack any one, that's good to go. Most of the hiring managers try to just look for one great positive in your profile. Okay, so ideally, the easiest one to crack is Shivai, I think some noise is coming from your end. Yeah, okay. So the easiest one to crack there is probably a certification. Sorry, is probably honors and awards. So one thing that I normally try to have is like, okay, whenever you're mentioning about your hackathon thing, don't just say that I got the first rank. Tell out of how many people you got that particular rank. About all the achievements, don't just tell your rank, or don't just tell your, don't just tell what you got or what score you received. Tell out of how many. For example, rank one is a good thing, but rank one out of two people is not exactly a good thing. Okay,
Yeah.
when you mention rank one out of 1,000 people, that's a great thing. Okay, similarly, let us say you say that okay, I got 500 marks in XYZ test. That 500 can be very bad if the test was of 5,000. That can be very good if the test was of 500 marks. Okay. So always about any achievement that you have done, mention what you achieved. Then second thing, out of how many. Okay. So for example, in your honors and reports about GCP hackathon, you could tell that, okay, I received rank one in the GCP serverless hackathon out of 20 participants, or out of how
Yeah.
many participants. Okay. So yeah.
Yeah, I guess like as you mentioned that putting up those metrics is really important because that is what will make your resume stand out. Of course,
Correct.
either it's, let's say, that you have really done a lot of the work that that particular company is looking out for, but because today with the competitive nature that we have with so many different resumes, these are the small things that can really make your resume stand out as compared to others. So
Correct.
definitely the metrics, whether it's like in terms of experience or even in your awards that you might have received,
Mhm.
that's really important. But yeah,
Correct.
that's definitely true. So I think we can probably move on to the next one, Naman.
Yeah, sure.
All right. So I think the next one is by, let's go with Aditi. All right. All right. So this is the next one. Yeah, would love to know your thoughts, Naman, if you want to share.
So I was seeing the education section. It seems a bit empty to me. Okay, I think
Yep.
you have mentioned course, but in under course you have just mentioned computer science, right? Probably course and computer science could be in the same line. And the second thing that you can do is you can probably tell a few important courses you have done there. Okay, for example, in Bitmesa, I probably did a course on ML, I did a course on data structures, and all that particular thing. Okay, other than just write BTech in computer science. Otherwise, that should be enough. Okay. The second thing about secondary education. Okay, though you have a computer science in secondary education, so that might still be a relevant fit. But normally, most of the time, recruiters don't exactly care about where you did your 10th from or where you did your 12th from. So if you want to save your space, probably you can remove the secondary education part and try to dive down more on the personal projects part. Okay, because I see in the personal projects you have mentioned very less information. Okay, that doesn't tell much about what you have exactly done in that particular projects. So you can save some space from the secondary education piece and try to elaborate more on your personal projects to show that okay how they were impactful. Again, the same point that I told about the last resume. Have at least four things that should be conveyed by each of your project and each of your experience. Okay,
Yep.
so I see that missing a bit. Yeah, overall on the other thing that it's a very clean resume. That's a very good positive point. uh,
And
Yeah.
I think that one thing that we could probably have a look at this is that, for example, if you see the work experience is really low in the
Hmm.
order. So what
Hmm.
could have been done is, since you like Aditi is maintaining these two columns, this work section could actually come at the top, because I think the order of the relevance also does matter, right? Naman, I would love to know your thoughts about that.
Correct, correct, correct. So basically, what I see, I'm like on the first glance, to me, education and volunteer experience shines more. Okay, so
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
not
yeah.
exactly what should shine more. Your education, personal projects, and work experience should shine more. And also, I'm not sure if this is just the Zoom level, but I see that personal projects, the font inside the personal projects is a bit small.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think it's a little
it
too
is
small.
not exactly getting highlighted on the very first flow. Okay, so
Yeah.
I think you need to probably enhance on the person projects part of thing. Okay, and also don't try to mention just MS Teams clone. Okay, that often can be, I think, downgrading what exactly you did. Okay, so probably you can say that, okay, probably a workspace chat app, and then you can probably say Microsoft Teams clone in the description instead. Okay, so for example, let us say if I see your first project, right? In the title, you say that you built an MS Teams clone, and the very first line is a Microsoft Teams clone made during Microsoft Engage mentorship program. This tells me not much thing, right? That, okay, what exactly did it do? How exactly did you build it? And all that particular stuff. That thing is more important to be highlighted. One good point though, that you have actually given a link of the working app, which is a very good positive point. Often, if you are giving a link of your projects, a link to the code or a link to the working deployed demo, that's a very good strong signal that, okay, you really know how to deploy that particular thing and all that particular stuff. And also you really did that thing and not just faking it on your resume. So yeah, that's a good point though.
Yep. And yeah, I guess apart from that, probably one thing that I guess we could probably have a suggestion is that if you look at this particular section, right, this could definitely be reduced, like the
Hmm.
width and the amount of space that this section takes up. So we don't need to provide things such as location, mobile number. So there's definitely scope of actually reducing the space at the top,
Hmm.
and then utilizing efficiently the space for adding more details about your experiences and personal projects.
Correct, correct, correct. So I will try to just again, I mean, like while building the resume, again think from the ground principles, right? Who is going to see your resume? Okay, a recruiter. What does a recruiter care about? A recruiter will care about if the candidate that I'm sourcing will they be able to clear the interviews, because that is the most important metric of a recruiter. So for them, what matters more? The
Yep.
things that are in your resume that shows your efficiency on the things that will be asked in the interviews matters more, which will be normally achievements, which will be personal projects, and which will be work experience. So these three things should be the ones that you should highlight the most. Okay,
Absolutely.
obviously skills matter a bit. So I think very much valid is the point that Shiva raised, that you can reduce the space that is being used by the email, location, LinkedIn, GitHub, etc., and probably merge it in the top header itself. Okay,
Yep.
and take more space for personal projection skills. Very, very.
Yep. Makes a lot of sense. So I guess like these are some of the improvements that Aditi you could have in your session. So of course. So I think we can move on to the next one, Naman, if that's fine.
Yeah, sure. Sure.
All right. Okay. So the next one that we can probably take is Navan Neath. All right. So definitely a lot of scope of improvement, I think, in this one.
Correct. So yeah, it seems a lot empty. To be the very first thing, it seems a lot empty. And even bigger point is, it seems a bit uh, unstructured. Okay, let me tell
Yep.
you why. So, for example, I think the font size of experience is actually smaller than the font size of campus ambassador, chief social officer, core team member. I mean, that's not exactly well structured. So, to me, I was actually very confused on the very first side. What exactly are you trying to convey? Which exactly is your experience? Which exactly is your volunteering experience? Which exactly are your achievements, etc. Okay, so obviously you can improve on that particular thing. Probably use some pre-existing resume template, because that will already do those things for you. So that's my first thing. That, okay, those I mean, like the structure, etc., the font size, the spacing between them isn't ideal enough. Okay. Second thing I would like to say about campus ambassadors, class ambassadors, etc. There is, I mean, it's a mixed opinion depending upon what you are applying for, but it's not exactly relevant for a software engineering job. Okay, you can probably try to put it in a volunteer experience section though. That okay, I was a volunteer there, because campus ambassador, I'm not sure if it's a full-time job though. If it is a
Yep.
full-time job, then probably you can have it in experience. Otherwise, try to put in a volunteer experience or leadership experience, because those things more of convey your co-curricular skills rather than the main skills that are necessary for a particular job. Okay. The second thing, languages, Malayalam, English, Hindi, are not exactly relevant for a software engineering profile. Okay. Then even the thing inside under the name, right? Communicator, motivator, thinker, tech enthusiast, objective about a person or a paragraph about a person aren't exactly relevant for anyone in that particular chain who's going to see your resume. No one cares about that particular thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess like probably also what will matter quite a lot is the structure of the entire resume, right? So you could probably try to use some of these well like well tested. I mean, there are some resume structures that you can use. So there are quite a lot of them on Overleaf, right? You can use those. I think because this was probably built using Microsoft Word, and I don't think so there are really any good templates if you are trying to use like Google Docs for creating a resume. And also similar things as we had discussed, that there are like two different pages. Try to just limit your resume to a single page. Things such as adding the languages that is not really necessary. So in case like I mean, even if you do have a non-technical resume, or you're going for such kind of roles that are more oriented towards community, I think such as languages is not really relevant. And again, this probably might require a complete restructuring. At least from what I can also understand is that a lot of your experience is mostly centered around like operations and doing public, more sort of community oriented things. So even if you are not really into tech field and you are wanting to go into community based roles, still how you structure a resume, things such as adding stars and being able to rate, it's something that is not really good to have, because again, on what basis are you actually saying that you are rated 5 on the basis of communication? So we don't really have some kind of a groundwork, or some kind of comparison chart with which we could say that okay, you are 5 stars. So like, are you saying that, are you 5 out of 5, are you 5 out of 10? So try to avoid using these kind of percentages, or because it's something that is very it's somewhat debatable that okay, if someone is 5 stars, so what that means, right? Are they like exceptional in that field? So try to avoid things such as these.
Correct. And also, now exactly the point on campus ambassador, for example, you have mentioned under experience a campus ambassador thing, under which you have mentioned IEEE Education Society, Droid 2.0, and multiple things. Okay. Now, again, who is going to see your resume? Recruiter, right? Recruiter probably doesn't even know about these things. They might not even know about what Bytehead is, right? You can probably club this into, for example, you own or you led. For example, this can also actually downgrade your profile. You mentioned multiple things here. Now, what was your role in that? Did you lead them? Were you a part of them? Were you a manager in them? Put that particular thing. That is going to be impactful. You just mentioned a lot of points there, which doesn't exactly convey what you did. Okay. It just conveys about a particular thing that was done. What was your role in it? Isn't exactly clear. Okay. So
Yep.
make it more conversation. Tell about what you have done rather than what all was part of it. Okay. So, yeah. And also, yeah, very valid point about stars. They exactly,
Yeah,
I mean,
makes a
like,
lot of sense.
don't have stars for
Yeah.
anything that is not well defined here.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we can move on to the next one, and I'll just quickly jump into the next one. So let's go to the next one. I'll quickly take another one. Let's say I think we can go to Nivedita. All right. So now we are on to Nivedita's. Let me just bring it up. All right. So again, I think this one is a two-pager. Something probably you could try to limit to a single page.
Yeah, probably you can reduce down on the school and college experience, because they are consuming a good amount of section. Okay. About your education, I think that is fine. It's simple. just remove the 10th and 12th things there. Okay. The second thing that you can expand upon is the work experience part. Okay. Expand a bit more on it. And also, I see that on the second work experience, the pointers are left aligned, right? They are not aligned well. So that often seems a bad experience. That often conveys the thought that you were not, I mean, like, you are not trying to be completely accurate about what you have done, right? So that's not a good thing. The pointers and alignment should be correct.
Yeah.
Then projects build a solution to this. Yeah, I mean, like for projects, I think it's a general feedback for everyone. Those 4 points are actually very important and convey every information that is needed. Okay, so try to have all of those 4 points covered about your work experience as well as your project. Um, I think. Yeah, I think you can probably even remove the positions of responsibility. They are not exactly relevant. For example,
Yeah.
currently you are going to apply for a software engineering role, right? For a software engineer, the things that matter is that, okay, how good are you with computer science fundamentals, at least for the fresher level? How good are you with your computer science fundamentals? How good are you in getting things done? So projects, experience, your achievements convey that particular kind of thing. Okay, so you can remove the positions of responsibility, in my opinion, to save the space as well.
Yep, absolutely. And I guess, like, as Naman also mentioned, that having a proper formatting of the resume also gives a good positive impact. So if you're using some really different type of colors, different formats, different fonts, font sizes, then that is not really putting a good impression of your resume on whosoever is reviewing your resume. So definitely something to keep into consideration when you're building your resume. Try to, like, limit, let's say, the color scheme to black, bold, and then one other color at max. So that's also something that it's definitely some you could utilize.
And also probably remove the upper part. In the up, there is a objective, right? Looking for a challenging role in a
Yeah.
reputable organization to utilize that particular thing. No one reads about that particular thing. Okay. And often most of the people say that whatever you have written here will be very much same as what everyone else saw. So
Yep.
because everyone, let us now be very much honest, right? Every person who is there on our Discord is definitely going to aspire for a very challenging role, right? They're not going to settle themselves on a very simple role, right? And everyone
Yep.
would want to work at a reputable organization. Everyone would want to utilize their skills. So that particular thing is not exactly a differentiator. So you can remove that particular thing. Okay.
Yep, absolutely. All right. So I think we can probably move to the next one now. So go ahead. I think with this one. So actually, this is not a PDF. This is actually Naman, the profile. Like, they had hosted their resume on a website.
Okay.
So a lot of
Got
these
it.
different things that you might see. But again, I just wanted to bring this up because sometimes you might have an online resume as well. So
Mhm.
definitely something that we could probably discuss.
Sure. Hmm. So I said, is it a one pager?
Yeah, it's a one pager.
Okay.
But
It's a
I
one
mean,
pager.
it was a website, so I had to basically zoom in quite a like zoom out quite a bit,
Okay.
and then take a
Uh,
screenshot.
Cool, cool, cool. Let us go section by section. Okay. Can you
Sure.
probably zoom on the skills section?
Yep.
Okay. So in web development, you have mentioned that you know about HTML5, CSS3, JavaScript, jQuery, React.js, etc. Okay, you know about project management. So one thing that I definitely liked is that you have grouped your skills, which is a very good thing. That because I see that there are multiple resumes where there are a lot of skills just one after the other, which often gets confusing, right? So that's very good structure. That's a good thing. I would say that probably, I mean, like on website, intermediate, beginner, and those things can be okay, but probably not really needed in a resume, in a PDF resume as such, because it's not a well-defined thing. Okay. For example, where will you put your boundary between a beginner and an intermediate thing, right? What exactly is the boundary? So you can remove that part. If you know about those things, if you have worked on those things, you can just put it on the skill. Okay. So I think you can remove the intermediate, beginner, and those tags. Okay.
Yep.
Definitely a very good positive about that is grouping of those skills. So that's a very good highlight. Can you go to the work experience section?
Yeah. And one thing that probably Naman, I would want to also know your feedback on is that should we really put up skills that we are just beginner with? Because of course, I mean,
Hmm.
as an
Correct.
expectation during an interview,
Hmm.
if you are putting out those things, you might not be able to really share a lot of
Correct.
knowledge, or
Huh.
be able to actually solve a lot of different problems related
Correct.
to
Correct.
that problem. So
Correct.
try to avoid using beginner ones in your resume.
Right. So yeah, if you just know the name of a technology, don't put it there.
Yeah,
If you know about a technology to that level that you have at least done some work on it, you can put that particular thing, I think. There.
yeah,
But yeah,
absolutely.
don't put anything beginner. If you think that you're a beginner in something, probably just don't write it. Okay. Okay. Mm. So now if you go to work experience section, you are an associated web developer at Newfold Digital. You have been working there since 2017. Very good. Newfold Digital is a leading web presence, so that's a very good thing that you convey about the organization that you're working on. A very nitpick that probably there should be a full stop after globally.
Yeah,
I'm like a nitpick, but those things some people just care about it. Okay. Newfold Digital is a leading web presence solution serving. Okay. So what you did, creating innovative landing pages for both online and offline marketing campaigns for logic boxes, reseller club, yeah. Okay. So now you can, okay. So now, if I just read the first line, right, creating innovative landing pages for both online and offline marketing campaigns for logic boxes, reseller club, this. Uh, my very first question is, who are they? Okay, so let us say, I mean, I will assume that they are the partners of that particular company. You are working at a company which has multiple, like partners like Logic Boxes, Reseller Club, Bluehost India, and you are making websites for them, right? So I would probably reword it like created. Okay, the very first thing, creating versus created. What exactly creating means? Are you creating while you are creating the resume? Not exactly, right? What was your work? Okay, or working on, I mean, like, so ideally I will say use past tense, created innovative landing pages for online and offline marketing campaigns for multiple service providers. That is what you can do. Okay, now you created the landing pages, you mentioned a word called innovative. Now what is innovation? How did you do that innovation? Okay, so you can probably dig down on that. Probably let us say, I'm like, I would love to have a discussion on this with you, but I think innovative landing pages might be probably did multiple user research or did multiple A/B testing with users or had a multiple meetings with designers to come up with multiple designs or probably explored the internet, probably try to put on that. And exactly did you do innovation? That's going to show more depth to your profile, which is a good positive sign. Okay. Uh, then the second thing is bringing visual designs to life in standards compliant clean markup. Okay. Building complete end-to-end workflows in Git and automated. Okay, cool. So for the third point, right, building complete end-to-end workflows in Git. So you can say that, okay, introduce CI and CD, introduce continuous integration and continuous delivery in the organization by creating end-to-end workflows using Git and multiple auto organization tools. Two, this is the very first thing, what you did. Then
yeah,
why you did that? To improve the development processes at my organization and save multiple bugs that are encountered at later software development lifecycle stages. Okay. Then third thing, what was achieved for it? This particular project of me saved X number of hours of a person or prevented company from having these kind of bugs that were earlier encountered. So that can be a very good thing. Okay. Then this thing, implementing GDPR, that's a very good project. I mean, like I personally know that, okay, how much difficult can it be to implement GDPR? But what you have mentioned is just a simple thing. Implementing GDPR policies across Logicbox's brand also include PWA concepts. Both of these are very important and very impactful things. I mean, like managing and ensuring that your website is GDPR compliant is often a hassle. You have to go through
yeah,
multiple things, right? The second thing also building a PWA is also not a small thing. Okay, so you can say that researched and validated the website to satisfy all the GDPR policies by going through multiple security and due diligences on the database and all that particular step. Drill down on it. Okay, it's a very impactful thing. Don't just put it in one line. And also, I mean, why does it matter? I mean, why are you putting both of these in same line? Implementing GDPR policies and also include PWA concepts. Probably these are two separate projects. Okay, so mention them separately. Okay, then the last thing, optimize resellers club country program for better SEO rankings. You are seeing better web SEO rankings, right? How much better? That can be a very good thing. After my project, the SEO ranking or the domain authority, increased from this to this, or the number of pages that ranked first on Google search increased from this to this. I think those will be the kind of feedback that
Yeah, makes sense. And I think that probably a couple of things is that while showcasing so many different things is good enough probably on a web-based resume, but probably if you were to actually create like a PDF version of this, you could try to probably point out 3 or 4 most important things, and rather than having let's say 8 or 9 different points.
Right.
Yep. And I guess apart from that, there are some volunteer experiences, but like I don't see any personal projects, at least in this one. So in case you have any personal projects, if those could be added instead of the volunteer experience, that would actually probably mean more.
Correct. And I think also as you gain experience, right? Some things get removed from your resume, some things get added to your resume. So, for example, if I remember the resume when I was in university, I had only one work experience and I had like 5 projects in my resume. Okay. Now I have only one project in my resume and 3 work experiences. Okay. So, don't say that, okay, you are only going to append to your resume. You should also remove from your resume the things that are no longer the most relevant one to profile. Okay.
All right. So I think we could probably move to the next one, Naman.
Yeah, sure.
All right. So we have around 5 more. So I think we can move to Niharika's now. All right. So I think again, probably right from the start, I guess like this part is not really relevant to add.
Correct. The 10th and 12th, correct. Basketball, I think I saw the word basketball, yeah. Basketball, etc., are not exactly relevant for a software engineering profile, right? And also, probably the margins and the boxes that you have made are taking more space, right? So just remove them. Probably that's going to be more clean resume. Okay?
Yep, that's definitely true. And yeah, I guess apart from that, what I can see is that there is certain things that are definitely worth improving, because of course, I mean, just in terms of the overall formatting, if you just remove all of this part of the education, then you can add your skills at the top. And there's also like one question, Naman, that we come across quite a lot of times, and that is that if you are just starting out, right, if you are in your first or second year of college and you don't really have a lot of experiences, right, so in terms of like work experience or internships, then what should be the major focus? Because of course, like let's say we only have one single page on which you can put in your information. So of course, if you are, let's say, having 2 or 3 years of experience, or you have done a couple of internships, you can replace that. So in that case, what I usually suggest is that in that case, if you do have like some more achievements or position of responsibility, then of course you can just add it. If you're having experience, then there's no need to add those things. So would also love to know your point on that.
No, very much relate to the question. My younger brother actually himself is in second year, so I was discussing the same thing with him today only. So yeah, very valid point, and also I think it's very similar to the point that I mentioned in the last resume, right? That as you grow in your career, a few things get removed, a few things start getting added, right? So when you are very new to that particular, I mean, like in your career, you are in the very early stages of your college, you can add positions of responsibility. You can even probably add your school and the school marks, etc. They are also fine. Okay. Ideally though, that okay, when you're applying for an internship, I mean, like, from what I remember during my second year, when I had applied for my first internship, I think it was in February of 2017 or so. It had only projects. It had like 4 projects, 4 and 5 projects, and a few leadership positions that I had, a few courses that I had done. So one thing that I had done was I had done a lot of MOOCs, right, on Coursera and Udemy. I had mentioned about them that these are the courses that I have done. Because now try to again see what is the recruiter going to look for. You are in the second year, right? A recruiter is definitely not going to look for a very senior software engineer from you. A recruiter is not going to look for someone who has a lot of experience doing things. They are going to look for someone who can learn things, who has a learner mindset, and who is curious enough to get things done. So, what points will exactly make that thing clear? It will be, let us say, the very first point that can make your curious nature clear will be that have you done some courses, right? If yes, what kind of courses have you done, right? That can tell your curious nature. So I think I was having a talk with the CT of the startup that I had worked at.
Yep.
I had done my first internship, right? So they mentioned that that thing was the very first positive point, that I had done a few courses on machine learning and AI, which told that I'm interested about this field. So that is the very first thing. Probably have a section on learning courses that you have done. Second thing, try to do projects. And if still the resume looks empty, don't put an empty resume. Okay,
Yep.
if the resume looks empty, put your positions of responsibility, probably put your school marks, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. Makes a lot of sense. Because again, the thing is that you don't want an empty resume.
Yeah.
So, like, whatever you're doing at that point of time that is the most relevant should be there. Makes
Mhm.
a lot of sense. And I think that this particular resume was directly copied from LinkedIn. So LinkedIn actually gives you an ability to download your entire profile as a resume. So
Mhm.
again, like a lot of things that are there, like two-pager is something that you should try to avoid. A lot of coursework, education, ideally don't try to sort of just download your resume from LinkedIn. Try to create a dedicated resume.
Okay. This basically shows that okay, probably you don't. I mean, you are not what we say excited enough, or you are not interested enough much in exploring the opportunity. So you have just put it as it is. Okay. And also, LinkedIn basically makes a PDF copy of its profile, right, which is not exactly
Yeah,
optimized for what you want to convey. For example,
absolutely.
projects are nowhere to see in the very first part. Summaries, as I mentioned, no longer relevant. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess like you could, Hosam, you could just go ahead and follow
Mm.
all the different points that we have already shared and try to, sort of implement that and create like a dedicated resume for yourself.
Mhm.
Yep. I think the next one is by Shubham. So this is the one. And I think this one goes actually 3 pages. So
Okay.
definitely room for, and I guess like this font, this putting it in the middle is something that
Mm.
does not look a very professional. What do you
Mhm.
think, Naman?
Correct, correct. And also, I mean, like from the very first site, I was confused that did you mention like 6 points about your college, or there were three things from, okay, for example, now I see that you have three first 4 lines about your college, and then the next 4 lines about your school. Okay.
Yeah.
School is again not relevant, right? What have you mentioned? You have mentioned that you are from Radiant School. You graduated in 2016. You did science and you got 73. What 73? I assume it is percent, right? But it can also be 73 marks, which is bad, right? So yeah, not exactly relevant, right? And also not exactly detailed enough. Okay. So
Yep.
probably remove that. Education, as Shibai mentions, make it left aligned. Okay. Rajiv Gandhi Pratyogiki Vishwavidyalaya, Bhopal 2020, or probably say grad year 2020, or graduated, or probably make it 2016 to 2020. That's a good way to put it. That
Yep.
I was here from 26 to 2020. Then computer science and CGPA 8.17 looks better. Remove the objective. Again, the same thing. Same for experience. Left align it. Okay.
Yeah, because I guess like almost 50% of your resume is just covered by things that are not even really necessary to actually be added. Because like, of course, we see like additional details, date of birth. Again, like these are some things that are completely
No,
obsolete,
no,
to be very
right.
honest. So you could, I mean, again, will you could simply just scrape off this entire thing and just make changes to this particular, improve the formatting, improve just remove all the things that we have suggested, and probably just copy something like your personal project or some achievement that might be sort of relevant to the job role that you're applying for. Yep. I think we can move to the next one. The next one is by Sudhanshu. All right. All right. Yeah, this is the one. So I think again in this, as Naman has already pointed out, there is definitely scope of adding probably more details about the experience section. So you've just mentioned that you worked on an IoT project and explored different related domains. That doesn't really convey a lot of different things that you have exactly done. Because for someone who is reviewing your resume, this is the only thing that they can really understand at that first phase without really, let's say, doing a personal interaction with you.
Yeah.
So it's something that you can make sure to add, because again, for example, in the next one you have added things such as what were the things that you worked upon. You mentioned some numerical numbers, right, that you helped actually increase the crash free users by 20%. So maintaining that across all the experiences that you have shared will be something that you can do.
Right.
Any other points that probably you would want to share, Naman, on this one?
I think, yeah, the projects, for example, you had just given a single line description about that, which doesn't convey much, right? Which doesn't give
Yeah.
any depth. Okay, so remove that. And also about the experience, right? I think cheer sporting experience is still good enough that you have mentioned in points at least. But for example, let's say you mentioned improve lots of UI and UX. How? Probably you might have worsened them up, right? How do you know that you increased them? Okay, so have those metrics. That okay, how did you do that particular thing? So yeah, that is I think missing from this one.
Yep. And I think like things such as these hobbies and using, again, not something relevant, interpersonal skills not relevant.
And also about hobbies, right? For example, you mentioned hobbies to be competitive coding, right? So again, having a hobby doesn't exactly convey things. So now try to think it
Yeah.
from the person who is at the other end. So let us say if I am a recruiter, I'm going to get a lot of profiles daily, right? And I know that okay, many of the people who are showing me their profiles haven't exactly done those things. I want some assurance that okay, how exactly have you done those things? Can you convey me some point about that, right? So probably instead of putting a hobby about it, having something under achievements, or probably having something in your, let us say, experience. Okay, probably just mention that okay, I have solved like 1,500 problems on code forces, or I have solved around 200 problems on lead code, code forces, etc. That is I'm like, for example, you can mention the same point inside hobbies and interests.
Yeah.
Okay, that I have read, like I have solved like 200 problems. Reading books is not exactly relevant for software engineering. Problem solving, competitive programming, competitive coding, and open source
It's
are
definitely
relevant.
more.
Now try
Yeah.
to think that okay, you have mentioned your hobby as open source, but that can be a very great boost to your profile if you say that okay, where exactly did you contribute and what exactly did you contribute. So you are missing down on one of the opportunities of you to create an impact. You didn't
Yeah.
mention the details of the open source work. So put that there. Solved X number of problems on lead code, solved Y number of problems on code forces, contributed to XYZ repository with that particular work. So yeah.
Absolutely. All right. So I think we are now left with a couple of different resumes. Again, Srishti, this is a test and a trial and tested method, and a really good one. And I think you have provided the links for these particular projects, and you have provided experience. Again, as we have mentioned, that just following those 4 pointers and putting up those bullet points, you could definitely remove things such as these societies and some of the activities if those are not relevant. And probably because what appears is that it appears to be a little crowded, right? It could definitely be made a bit more, you could add more things, or just remove one or two things that are not really important. Again, something like this campus ambassador thing is something that you can definitely remove, not relevant at all. This will help you save some space and actually add things right over here, some more pointers about the different kind of things that you have done. Apart from that, links, skills, certification. Again, certification is something, in case it's like really really important, if you have, like, let's say, done TensorFlow developer certificate or Kubernetes certified administrator certificate. If it's like a Udemy course, again, no need to really put it because it does not really have any value. So keep these things in mind as well. Again, you have mentioned about the projects, given links, that's great. But if you could again just mention what was the technology stack, what did you build, how did it actually improve on some of the other things, right? Similarly, your experience as it is shared by Naman. I think this is good enough. And the final one that we have today is Vandana. So pretty much a similar one that we had from the last one. And again, we do see somewhat blank spaces. So especially because you have, been experienced, probably adding those your recent experiences. If you have done more interview, or you have done more internship experiences, adding those will make a lot more sense. And of course, in case you feel that you don't really have a lot of different things to add, probably things such as the different kind of courses that you have done, things like your interests, specifically in computer science, that more dedicatedly are structured towards the role that you're applying for, might make sense to add, because this looks really empty, to be honest. So you could definitely fill it up with some kind of achievements, some responsibilities. Again, the idea is to fill as much as information as possible for, or that is relevant for the kind of role that you're applying for. So that's some of the things that I'll recommend for this particular resume.
Hi, I am Rishika Gupta, currently working as a software developer at LinkedIn. And in today's video, I am going to discuss about the top 10 tips you can use to boost your LinkedIn profile. With more than 850 million users across 200 countries, LinkedIn is the world's largest professional networking platform. And if you want to leverage the power of networking with the right people, then this video is for you. If you are new to our channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and give this video a like. Today we are going to discuss about the power of networking, why you should maintain your public profiles available on the net, and after which I will be discussing about the top 10 tips you should leverage to boost your LinkedIn profile. With that being said, let's get started with the video. So let's start with the first topic, why networking is important. So if you are a job seeker, then networking can help you to get the best opportunities possible. If you are a job provider, then definitely it will help you to get the bestest of mindset. If you are a business owner, then networking can help you to land with best clients possible. And if you want to share knowledge, then networking can help you to reach a wider audience. Apart from this, networking can also help you to maintain your social well-being, being creative because you are sharing your ideas with each other and whatnot. So definitely you should do networking using platforms like LinkedIn, Twitter and other social media platforms. With this, I hope you have understood the power of networking. And as we are living in a digital era, it is very important to maintain your public profiles as dedicatedly as you maintain your personality in offline meetings. With that being said, let's get started with the top 10 points you should leverage to boost your LinkedIn profile. So the first step is fill your profile thoroughly. There are 5 levels of LinkedIn profile: beginner, intermediate, advanced, expert and all-star. And your target should be to achieve the all-star badge on your profile to make sure that your profile is optimized. While this is not the only criteria to optimize your profile, but perhaps the most important one. So make sure that you are following the suggestions suggested by LinkedIn just after your profile pictures. For example, fill your profile picture, add your background image, add the skills based on your expertise, etc. It will definitely help you to optimize your profile and will keep your profile on the top search results. The second pointer is pick the right profile picture. One of the very first thing that anyone will see on your profile is your profile picture. And also, do you know that people with profile picture has 21 times more views on their profile as compared to people without profile picture? Now you must have understood that you should definitely set your profile picture on LinkedIn. But what is the correct profile picture that works really well on the platform? So here are some tips for you to make sure that you have chosen the right profile picture on LinkedIn. The first pointer is the picture should be of high definition. It should be clear and your face should be clearly visible in the profile photo. It should cover around 50 to 60% of the profile image and with a half body covered. It should not be a full body image or the only face image. Also maintain welcoming expression with a sweet smile. Keep it natural and avoid over editing of the image. Also, be professionally dressed based on the standard dress code followed in your industry. The third pointer is find the right heading for your profile. Just after your profile picture, heading is the next important thing that you should definitely take care of. But what is LinkedIn heading? Just after your profile picture, your name will be written on your profile, and just below your name, there will be a one-liner sentence that will tell the audience who you are, and that is known as LinkedIn heading. Also, LinkedIn headline plays a very vital role in LinkedIn search algorithm. So make sure to add the right keyword in your headlines. For example, if you are targeting Java developer roles, then make sure to add keywords like Java, developer, software development, etc. in your headline so that you can optimize your profile and be on the top search results. But what are the other pointers that you need to keep in your mind while writing your headline? The first thing is your headline has a character limit of 200 characters. So make sure to be very clear and concise here. The second pointer is write the job description, your main title and your company as well in your title itself, so that everyone knows where you work at and what is your profession. And the last point is be very creative and catchy here so that your profile grabs the attention of the audience you are looking for. Fourth point is create a summary that stands out. Your summary section is the fourth most important point that any viewer will grab attention on. The first is your background image, the second was your headline, the third was your profile picture, and the fourth one now that we are discussing is your summary section. Here you have a character limit of 2000 character, but this doesn't mean that you can go long and long, because the main aim of your profile is to showcase who you are, what you bring to the table, but at the same time to grab the attention of the audience. Make sure that you divide your summary section into subsections to make it more readable to the audience. Make sure you add right information and all the relevant information that you want to showcase on your profile. For example, what are the kind of projects you work on, what is your skill set, what are the type of languages you prefer, and what are the future things that you are looking for. Make sure that you add numbers and data while representing any kind of project. You can include the type of impact you have created on a particular project by referring to the number of users that project has impacted upon. And the last point is make sure that at the end of your summary section there is a call to action. This will make sure that there is a communication between you and your audience. The fifth point is optimize your experience section. Your experience section comes just below your summary section, and this is the place where you can mention all the previous experiences with all the companies that you have experienced so far. You can mention all the projects that you have done, what are the different kind of tech stack that you have used, what is the impact that you have created so far in this particular section. So here are some points for you that you should keep in your mind while writing your experience section. The first point is make sure that you have written the right job title in your experience section, and with that job title you have tagged the right company page. The second point is make sure that with every experience you have described a small summary with no longer than 3 lines. And the last point is feel free to utilize the addition of media while adding any kind of important documents in any experience. The sixth point is include right keyword throughout your profile. So we all know the importance of keywords in any searching algorithm. Let's understand it via real life example. I am taking my own example. So I am a Java web developer by profession, but let's assume that in my whole LinkedIn profile I haven't included keywords like Java, web development and so on. Now if someone is reaching out to me for Java web developer roles specifically, then how they will be able to understand my interest and what are the jobs I am looking for, right? The similar thing goes for algorithms as well. Algorithm will not be able to understand what are the kind of roles you are looking for if you are not adding the right keyword in your profile. And then copy paste the content of the job description document, put it into the word cloud and extract the top 10 keywords from it, and then use those keywords throughout your profile. The most important keyword should be filled in the headline section, and use your experience section and summary section to use the other keywords. The seventh point is be active on LinkedIn. So here being active does not simply means that you have to scroll over LinkedIn for long hours. It means that you have to make right connections, you have to make sure that you follow people that you find are valuable for you and can bring right opportunities to you. Make sure that you are sharing updates from your side as well, so that your network is also aware about your personal growth. And also make sure that you are aware about what is all happening in your surrounding. For example, it is possible that you can come across some events or workshops from your LinkedIn feed post, and it can also interest you, right? So make sure that you are aware about all those things which are happening around you and you are taking part in it. So being active in a community is very important, and LinkedIn can help you in that. The eighth point is additional sections you shouldn't ignore. So there are many sections on your LinkedIn profile, for example, volunteering sections, courses, certifications, skills, endorsements and many more, which usually people ignore. So to have an edge over those candidates, make sure that you have filled your profile thoroughly and you have mentioned all your hard skills, soft skills in the skill section. Also, you have mentioned all the volunteering experiences in the volunteering section. Also, if you have worked with any NGO for socially impacted projects, then make sure that you have added those projects in your volunteering sections. So this was about your volunteering sections and your skill section, but there are other sections as well. For example, endorsements. If you have worked with any person and you want to appreciate them, then make sure to give them endorsements with an appreciation note. The ninth point is make a custom profile URL. You can customize your public profile URL by visiting your profile page, click on edit public profile, and then you can customize your own profile URL. But one thing to note here is all the customized profile URLs are available on first come and first serve basis. So it is possible that the URL you are aiming for is not currently available. But what you can do is you can customize your URL, add your name in it and add some integer or maybe some extra numbers to get the unique URL. And the 10th important point is to choose the right background image for your profile. So the background image has basically two purposes. First, to give the personal and business definition to your profile, and second, to help people to understand about your expertise. But it also very dependent upon individual perspective and from industry to industry. For example, you can add a quote which you find very close to your heart in your background image. You can add even your workspace images. You can even customize your background image by adding some group team pictures, or you can also add the skill set to showcase your expertise. You can use tools like Canva and Adobe Creative Cloud to make a customized background image for your profile. Here is a bonus tip for you all which can help you to boost your LinkedIn profile even more. So make sure that you leverage the features section of your profile. It is the section for you to highlight any spotlight of your professional career. You can highlight your portfolio there, you can mention your resume, you can add links, external links it can be, or you can even mention some of your top posts in the featured section. So these were the top tips which you can leverage to boost your LinkedIn profile. If you like this video, please hit the subscribe button, and if you have any queries, feel free to reach out to us in the comment section. Hope you find this video useful and see you in the next video.